Family Cultivation. I can improve my magic weapon. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 676 Wood Spirit Rejuvenation Technique. 5 Elements Island. There are too few places in this world that can accommodate ghost cultivators, and they will be treated as aliens. To say that ghost cultivators are hateful, there is also something pitiful about them. The ghost cultivators in the ruins of the 5 Elements sect are the best example. If the sect hadn't been destroyed, how could he have fallen into the ghost realm with overwhelming resentment and unwillingness? Facing the attack of the ghost mist, Wanjiantu took the lead and took the initiative to launch a black gourd, sucking many ghost mist into it. This object is called Hunyuan Gourd. It is one of her natal magic weapons. Its effect is to restrain the ghost mist. It was specially made by Wanjiantu during the last treasure hunt. The numerous ghost mists that came towards him were absorbed by the Hunyuan Gourd and did not pose any threat at all. A vortex condensed at the mouth of the Hunyuan Gourd, firmly guarding the path in front of the snow dragon boat, sucking in more ghost mist that surged towards it. At the same time, ghost mist also gathered around the snow dragon boat and launched an attack. There are so many ghosts and mists. Do you really think I'm just a living person? Whoa, Huzi shouted loudly, and sacrificed a flag magic weapon with great heroism. He held it in his hand and waved it away with a roar. The Liang flag opened and closed, sweeping out a large blazing flame, which gathered into a sea of fire and covered the surrounding ghost mist, refining the ghost mist energy in just a few strokes. Restraining with flames is obviously the most time-saving and labor-saving method. The Liang flag showed its might and exerted its ultimate power. For a time, within 100 meters around the snow dragon boat, there was no trace of ghost mist, and it was all restrained, refining into wisps of black smoke and dissipating. Several Jiandan monks joined forces, including Huzi as a restraint advantage, and Wanjiantu who could also assist in the crossing, predicting the danger in advance, and everyone moved forward smoothly. The Hunyuan Gourd seems to be a bottomless pit, sucking a large amount of ghost mist into it, compressing it and then absorbing it, without any impact at all. Look at Hubeard again, holding the fierce sun flag majestically, showing his heroic appearance. With one person, he was able to neutralize most of the ghost fog attacks and became a strong protective umbrella for everyone. Mu Taoran acted upon the opportunity and began to use his skills to replenish the magic power of Wanjiantu and Huzi. Li Mubing's consumption was relatively small, so he just took the elixir to recover. Chen Qingyun paid close attention and found that Mu Taoist had sacrificed a wooden cane. With a slight wave, he exerted a large amount of green power and merged into the bodies of Huzi and Wanjiantu to replenish the consumed mana. This method of assisting recovery is performed through the Wood Spirit Rejuvenation Technique. This cane magic weapon is made of rare 4th-level materials such as century-old rejuvenation wood and giant spirit wood. Because of its special material, it can greatly cooperate with the skills to exert its effects. The source of power used for mana recovery is actually Mu Taoist's own mana. A monk who has practiced the Wood Spirit Rejuvenation Technique will have about 90% more mana storage than monks of the same level, which is almost the same as the 2. And the speed of self-recovery of mana is also much faster. In terms of longevity, the more perfect and complete the practice of this skill is, the corresponding increase in lifespan will be between 50 and 100 years. The only shortcoming is that the magic power is not as destructive as the monks of the same level, and the power is relatively weak. This is an obvious shortcoming. With Mu Taoist Jindan's late-stage strength, he would be at a huge disadvantage against monks of the same realm. You can adapt to local conditions and cooperate with teammates to act together, such as exploring the ruins of the 5 Elements sect, which can produce excellent auxiliary combat effects. It is estimated that Mu Taoran can restore the mana of the 2 people to 90% in just 1 cup of tea, which is much faster than absorbing spiritual stones. It can also provide multiple monks with the ability to quickly restore mana at the same time. In this way, After waiting for about a stick of incense, and after Luohuzi and his 2 men had recovered their mana, everyone approached the center of the ghost mist. At this time, you can glimpse it in the distance, and the ruins of a huge island come into view in the distance. We have arrived at 5 Elements Island. On the island are the ruins of 5 Elements sect. Li Mubing's mana returned to 90%, and he spoke at the right time, pointing to the outline of the island in the distance. Chen Qingyun looked down and saw that it was a huge island. Before entering the real sect area, it is clear that there are a small number of sapphire lofts located on the coastline of the 5 Elements Island, with magnificent shapes. The only thing that makes people feel pity is that those buildings have already collapsed and broken, and were destroyed in the war. Only a few individual buildings can still retain their general appearance, and their surfaces are also weather-beaten. Looking carefully, Chen Qingyun found that he did not see any ghost cultivators for the time being. Everything on the island seemed very quiet, so quiet that there wasn't even a bug or bird, which was quite strange. Only a small amount of debris scattered on the ground showed that it had been exposed to war. Chen Qingyun took a closer look and saw something similar to the 5 Elements puppet in some of the wreckage. That's weird. At this time, Luohuzi also discovered this, stretched out his hand to scratch his scalp, and said with a puzzled look, "It's not that there are many ghost cultivators in this sect's ruins. Why can't I see any of them now? Could it be that they knew we were coming and hid them in advance?" Luo Hubeard's joke made the atmosphere less tense. At the same time, everyone's attention began to focus on 5 Elements Island, trying to find the ghost cultivators. Mu Dao Ren looked thoughtful and responded, "The methods of this ghost cultivator are strange and unpredictable. They are not directly exposed to our sight. They should all gather underground at this moment and move in the place where the netherworld energy is the most concentrated. And our current location is in front of the mountain gate of the 5 Elements sect, and we have not officially entered the mountain gate yet." Mu Dao Ren introduced the situation on the island in detail. Compared with 20 years ago, the island was almost bare at that time, with no flowers or plants. Now there are more plants and vegetation on the island, adding a bit of greenery. Such changes have shown that the island has some vitality and recovery, and the spiritual veins and charm on the island have not dissipated. Everyone took a general look at the vegetation coverage on the island. At present, they are most concerned about the dynamics of those ghost cultivators. As Mu Dao Ren continued to explain, Chen Qingyun, Luohuzi and other new members finally got some understanding of this place. Completely different from the Yin spirits in the ghost fog, the ghost cultivators in the 5 Elements sect do not wander around all day. Most of the time, they would hide underground like hibernating animals. Before the demise, the 5 Elements sect opened the netherworld passage under the sea, causing a large amount of netherworld chi to overflow and quickly cover the entire island. Most of these netherworld chi were blocked by the sect protection formation and filled everywhere on the island. Only a very small amount overflowed and poured into the ghost fog, creating a trend of the ghost fog expanding day by day, from no ghost fog at the beginning to what it is now. Chapter 677 Luohuzi and number 039 purpose. After learning the reason, Chen Qingyun suddenly understood. The first thing he was interested in was the puppet remains on the ground. If he could collect some, they might not be used as refining materials. If you are lucky, you may find something different in it. Since he came here again after 20 years, Li Mubing did not ask everyone to land quickly for the sake of safety. Instead, she used her spiritual consciousness to check back and forth several times, and after confirming that nothing unusual was found, she slowly landed the snow dragon boat. The group of people stepped on the ground, and the sense of fullness under their feet brought some peace of mind. Li Mubingzu waved his hand, and the snow dragon boat turned into a stream of light and was stored in the storage ring. As the leader, she took the initiative to tell the story. "Last time, we just stopped at the front. At that time, fellow Taoists Wen and Mu and I tried many methods, but we were unable to move forward any further. If we want to officially enter the 5 Elements sect's mountain gate, we must first break through the barrier of a formation in front of us." When Chen Qingyun heard this, he glanced at Wen Xiumen and Mu Daoren subconsciously, and thought to himself. The previous attacks encountered in the Ghost Mist were only the most powerful yin spirits of the Xifu stage, and no yin spirits of the Golden Core stage appeared. This was 20 years ago, and the danger in the Ghost Fog should not be as dangerous as it is now. If that's the case, then they stopped here, but there is no danger here, and there are no ghost cultivators. So how did the casualties appear in the first place? Is there anything that can hurt the Golden Core cultivator? They called Luo Hubeard to help out this time. I'm afraid I will have to go through a lot of troubles in the coming hardships. While Chen Qingyun was thinking about it, Luo Huzi couldn't sit still. As a casual cultivator, he had liked to be frugal and pick up leeks since he was a child, so he started to pick up some items scattered on the ground and look at them. Mom, why are they just useless things? Luo Huzi couldn't recognize the fragments of the Five Elements puppet's origin. How many spiritual stones is this piece of shit worth? He held it in his hand and weighed it a few times. Regardless of whether it was a treasure or not, he complained and put it directly into the storage bag, taking it away first. This is the case for casual cultivators. Without the support of cultivating families and sects, cultivation resources are extremely scarce. In order to get rid of difficulties, one often has no choice but to take risks and join those treasured places that contain opportunities, or even dangerous places to seek opportunities for cultivation. This is like constantly licking blood on the tip of a knife. Although this method of cultivation has a very high mortality rate, it can greatly hone one's strength and character, and can also subtly cultivate a frugal and diligent character. Even though Luo Huzi is now at the top of the casual cultivator and has a Taoist companion and children, he still maintains the habit of fighting for resources. Seeing Luo Huzi's actions, Chen Qingyun calmly locked some puppet fragments, held them in his hands and felt them carefully, and found that the original power had been completely evaporated, and there was no value for recycling. Look at some other things on the ground. The broken storage bag, the broken magic weapon flying sword, the bones that were so damaged that they were mixed with the ground and covered with moss all reflected the danger here. Judging from the traces left behind, some are new and some are old, indicating that someone has set foot here recently. The last time we came here, the situation on the ground was a little different from now. These extra relics are obviously left by subsequent treasure hunters. Li Mubing had no interest in these limited resources on the ground, and he had no intention of competing with Luo Huzi, so he started to talk and summarize the situation here. In the battle that destroyed the Five Elements sect, thousands of disciples died outside this mountain gate, leaving behind some inherited items. Although, after more than 600 years of ups and downs, most of the relics have expired, turned into dust, or been looted and taken away by other treasure hunters, there are always some missing. The last time we came here, we learned some valuable information by obtaining these missing items. Li Mubing mentioned what he gained from the treasure hunt here, mainly to Chen Qingyun, Bang and Luo Huzi. What they received was a handwritten note that recorded the daily experiences of a disciple of the Five Elements sect. This person's name is Huan Zhengcheng. He is an inner disciple of the Five Elements sect and is responsible for taking care of the sect's medicine garden. He is over 200 years old and has a cultivation level in the middle stage of the Xifu. It was through reading the handwritten notes he left that Li Mubing and others learned about some situations in the Five Elements sect. Where is the Five Elements sect's medicine garden located, and what types of elixirs are grown? There are also records on formation prohibitions. For example, many areas in the sect, such as the medicine garden, the library pavilion, the Heritage Hall and other places have special restrictions, and you must use the Five Elements puppet as a key to enter. This is very unique and requires special attention. Generally, those who can possess the Five Elements puppet are at least internal disciples of the Five Elements sect. The outer sect and miscellaneous disciples are not yet able to access the core inheritance of the Five Elements sect. Hearing this, Chen Qingyun once again confirmed that if he wanted to obtain the core inheritance of the Five Elements sect, he must possess the Five Elements puppet. This is the most basic condition, and a test of strength is definitely indispensable. As soon as Li Mubing finished speaking, Luohuzi showed an expectant look and spoke with some urgency. Fairy Bingling, according to you, the notes left by Huan Zhengcheng recorded that more than a dozen plants of Qingguang were planted in the medicine garden. Is this absolutely true? Of course it's true. Li Mubing nodded heavily. There is indeed this record in the notes. Okay, when you invited me this time, you agreed when negotiating the conditions. Once you get to the medicine garden, you will first obtain a Qingguang for me. You must keep your words. You also know that my wife was injured by a demon cultivator before, and she has not recovered yet. I have tried many treatments but none of them have a radical effect. The appearance of Qingguang this time is my wife's life-saving elixir. I am determined to get this Qingguang, so I ask Fairy Bingling to fulfill her promise. Luohuzi's words attracted the attention of Chen Qingyun and Wenzai Uman. Qingguang is a 4th-level elixir that contains the magical effect of healing the injuries of golden elixir monks and nourishing the Taoist body. Its effect is second only to the Millennium Spiritual Milk. Chen Qingyun and Wenzai Uman had previously thought that someone as powerful as Luohuzi would participate in this operation, presumably because they had to be involved because of their status as the elder Zhuan Bingjing's guest minister. Now it seems that this is the reason. I came here to save my wife. On the surface, Luohuzi looks rough and mighty. He doesn't seem to be a good guy. Unexpectedly, he is so emotional. He is actually a person who is cold on the outside and hot on the inside. Chen Qingyun secretly thought that his impression of Luohuzi had changed somewhat. Even Wenzai Uman, who had always had a cold face, took another look at Luohuzi at this moment. Chapter 678 Master Huang Yan, don't worry, Senior Luo. I, Zhuan Bing, always keep my word. As long as we get to the spiritual medicine garden, I will first get you a 7-cloud Ganoderma. Li Mubing responded solemnly, and then looked at Chen Qingyun and others. Everyone, when we set foot in the spiritual medicine garden, please get a 7-cloud Ganoderma for Senior Luo first. How much spiritual stones is this thing worth? When we return, I, Zhuan Bing, will divide it equally among you, and will not let you suffer any loss. In the previous cooperation, Li Mubing did not mention this matter. Now that the request was made, the atmosphere on the scene fell into silence for a while. For this 7-cloud Ganoderma, Chen Qingyun did not have any intention of getting it. In terms of effect, the 1,000-year spiritual milk far exceeded it. Besides, according to Li Mubing, isn't there a dozen 7-cloud Ganoderma? In this case, it is not a bad idea to give one to Luohuzi, so as not to narrow the road for this spiritual medicine and offend Luohuzi. Haha, fellow Taoist, Luo loves your lady so much and comes here to seek the holy medicine for treatment. This friendship is really admired by this old man. Mu Dao Ren is smooth in dealing with things. He was the first to speak, showing a kind smile. No problem, even if you don't say it, I am willing to take the initiative to help. You must get this Qingguang lucidum and take it home safely. After someone expressed his opinion, Wenzai Uman and Chen Qingyun did not speak, indicating tacit consent. When everyone's eyes fell on Bang, it was very important to listen to the ideas of fellow Taoist Lu, who had the strength of the late giant. And facing the gaze of Li Mubing and others, Bang nodded lightly in the expectant eyes of Luohuzi. Okay. Luohuzi secretly breathed a sigh of relief and grinned at Bang. Thank you, Brother Lu. After a brief conversation, everyone continued to move forward and walked towards the mountain gate in the distance. The closer they got to the mountain gate, Chen Qingyun began to notice that the atmosphere around them became more and more quiet. Behind him, no matter how many ghosts in the distant ghost fog there were, no matter how much they wandered around and wanted to surround and kill them, they never dared to set foot here. Even from continuing to monitor them at the beginning, now they directly chose to give up and did not fly out of the range of the ghost fog. There seemed to be something more powerful and terrifying here, which made them give up their prey and could only look for other things. This made Chen Qingyun secretly pay attention and realize that the road ahead was more dangerous. It would be difficult to set foot in the medicine garden, and now they had not even stepped into the mountain gate. Later, don't they have to crack some formations or prohibitions? This Luohuzi's attainments and formations will definitely be useful here. Not only Chen Qingyun, Wen Xiumen also realized this, and followed closely behind Li Mubing, who was walking in the first place, and the phantom light beads around him were sacrificed again, ready to attack at any time. Songzhen and Zhu Ying, who were walking in the center, felt the tense atmosphere, and both of them secretly moved closer, not wanting to be the first to become cannon fodder. As they approached the ruins of the mountain gate, a magnificent and ancient mountain gate archway appeared before their eyes. This mountain gate archway was very majestic and huge, with 3 powerful golden characters 5 elements sect written on it, full of immortal spirit. On the left side of the mountain gate archway, they found a corpse slumped on the ground with his back leaning against the ground. This person was wearing a light yellow robe, of medium build, with long hair tied up with a wooden hairpin, and looked like a middle-aged man. From the fact that the corpse was not trodden and there was still a trace of golden light in the lower abdomen, this was at least a cultivator in the early stage of the golden core. However, the storage bag on the waist had long disappeared at this time, and there was no artifact left around. The atmosphere was tense to begin with, and now seeing this corpse appear, everyone's expression immediately tightened. We came here last time, but we didn't see this corpse at that time. It seems that someone came here after us. Li Mubing said with a frown. Taoist Mu was the third person to walk in. He was the first to walk forward and took a closer look at the corpse. He couldn't help but change his expression and showed a sad look. Master Huang, Master Huanyuan, he died here. What is the relationship between this person and you? Luo Huzi stepped forward to ask, squinting his eyes and taking a look. He saw that the other person had traces of burning on his body. Although it was not fatal, he died here. It was estimated that his soul was destroyed. Seeing that Taoist Mu seemed to have met an old friend here, everyone was curious about the origin of Master Huanyuan and began to be more vigilant. Alas, what a pity! Taoist Mu sighed heavily, put away the sadness on his face, and briefly introduced. Master Huanyuan and I are good friends. He is a casual cultivator from Huanyuan Island in the Wanyao Sea. I met him at a Wanbao conference held in Huanhai. We became friends because we had a good conversation. As Taoist Mu told the story, everyone learned that Master Huanyuan mainly practiced earth-attributed skills and was good at defense. In terms of cultivation, he is at the middle stage of Jiandan, and is one of the best in the same level. It is difficult for ordinary Jiandan cultivators to break the defense of Huanyuan Saint armor and Dun Huang Bell without powerful magic weapons or attack methods. Such a Jiandan cultivator died here, indicating that there is an unknown existence that endangers the life of Jiandan cultivators. The magic weapon and storage bag of the spiritual armor on Huanyuan Master have disappeared, and there are no magic weapons left around, which has become the focus of everyone's attention. Did the other party die at the hands of a ghost cultivator, and then all his treasures were taken away by his teammates? Or were they taken away by later treasure hunters? Master Huang is cautious and has some hidden tricks. He has been in seclusion and traveling all year round. I haven't seen him for a long time. I didn't expect to see him again in this way today. Since he appeared here, he must not come here alone to search for treasures. He must have been invited by someone and came in a team like us. Witnessing the death of his friend, Mu Daoran felt bad. No wonder he hadn't contacted Master Huangyan in recent decades. He thought that he was in seclusion, or flew out of the communication distance and went to the Mermaid Sea and other places to continue his training and look for the opportunity to form a baby. Unexpectedly, this is the result now. My old friend died in a foreign land, and no one even picked up his bones. Adhering to the principle of picking up bones for his friend, Mu Daoran stepped forward. Just as he stretched out his hand to touch the other party's body, Wen Xiumen, who had been silent all the time, suddenly spoke. It's a trick. As soon as these 2 words came out, Mu Daoran also reacted quickly. His outstretched hand suddenly paused, and he immediately deployed the golden elixir shield to protect himself. Swish. At this moment, A black figure suddenly flew out of the dead body of Huang Yanshangren and rushed towards Mu Daoren. Ghost. Mu Daoren's expression changed, and he was glad that he listened to the advice and stopped in time. The black figure was extremely fast, and it hit the golden elixir shield with a bang and was blocked. This time, the possession was not successful. The black figure retreated a distance again, and his eyes were cold and swept at Chen Qingyun and others. There was a faint green light in his eyes, which looked quite creepy. Chapter 679 Ghost Cultivator. Everyone looked at it and saw that this black figure was different from the previous Yinling. It looked like a middle-aged man with a fierce look on his face. Pay careful attention, and you will see that the opponent's body is full of ghost energy. Judging from the intensity of the ghost energy, it has reached the middle stage of the golden elixir, which is far more powerful than those yin spirits. You are not Master Huanyuan. The Mu Taoist scolded and offered a gourd. A green beam of light shot out from the gourd's mouth and hit the ghost cultivator directly. The ghost cultivator has no physical limitations and moves extremely fast. He avoided the attack of the cyan beam with a dodge in the air and rushed towards Chen Qingyun, who was nearby. How arrogant! Whoa! Hubeard's loud shout also sounded at this time. Fellow Taoist Chen, be careful. Chen Qingyun was well prepared and saw the origin of the other party. He used the Shedding Dragon Elephant Sutra to condense a soul-destroying sword and slashed straight out. The soul-destroying sword specializes in defeating divine souls. Ghost cultivators and yin spirits cannot escape from the category of souls by nature, and are naturally restrained as well. This ghost cultivator was unable to dodge when faced with the soul-destroying sword. He was broken open by the sword and split into two halves. Chen Qingyun showed no mercy and took advantage of the victory to strike with a finishing blow. He twisted the soul-destroying sword hard, completely clearing away all the aura of the ghost cultivator and easily resolving the crisis. As soon as this golden elixir stage ghost cultivator appeared, he wanted to offend anyone but Chen Qingyun. He dissipated under the soul-destroying power in just one encounter, leaving no chance of survival. Chen really hides the technique of restraining the soul, and kills well. Seeing Chen Qingyun kill the ghost cultivator with one sword, Luohuzi's eyes lit up and he couldn't help but praise and speak quickly. He was still worried just now. Chen Qingyun looked young, so he would probably have to go through a lot of trouble when he was attacked by a golden elixir stage ghost cultivator. He was already ready to help, but found that he still underestimated Chen Qingyun. When Xiumen's expression changed quietly and she took a deep look at Chen Qingyun. I didn't expect that Chen Qingyun could show such a method in dealing with ghost cultivators. It was really unexpected. If she hadn't just taken a careful look at Master Huanyuan's corpse out of vigilance, she wouldn't have noticed that there was a ghost cultivator lurking in it, and he could be so calm and look for opportunities for sneak attacks. I won't even spare Huang Laodao's body. He really deserves to be killed. After being attacked by this ghost cultivator, Taoist Mu did not dare to act trashly anymore. He looked at Wen Xiumen and asked, "Did Taoist friend Wen find any other abnormalities?" Both ghost cultivators and yin spirits have the ability to possess, and can devour the monk's consciousness, thereby occupying the body and turning into a monster that is neither human nor ghost. The appearance of this ghost cultivator in Master Huanyuan's body caused Mu Taoist not to dare to act rashly now. Worried about any danger, he took a few steps back and distanced himself from Master Huanyuan. When Xiumen slowly shook her head, indicating that there was no problem. After receiving an accurate reply, Mu Taoist was on guard, thinking that the ghost cultivator's methods were treacherous and unpredictable, so he still did not dare to touch him at will. "Hey, that's all." When he sighed, he simply popped out a wisp of golden elixir fire, burning the remains of Master Huanyuan. When only a little ashes were left, a pit was dug on the spot. The former friend was buried in the ground, and buried on the spot. "We are also monks. If I unfortunately die in the future, I hope there will be colleagues who can pick up my bones and bury them." Mu Daoren sighed. Chen Qingyun and others did not say anything when they saw this. They all realized that ghost cultivators were beginning to appear here, which meant that they had to be prepared to fight against ghost cultivators in the rest of the journey. Next, everyone continued to move forward. When they passed through the sect archway, a formation barrier appeared in front of them, firmly blocking the way. Arriving here, Taoist Mu stopped and turned to Li Mubing and asked, "We're in front of this formation again. What should we do next? Should we still follow the same old method as last time?" As soon as these words came out, Wen Xiumen, who had always been taciturn, secretly gritted her teeth and gave Mu Taoist a somewhat complaining look. "No." Li Mubing observed Wen Xiumen's movements and immediately shook his head. "Last time we used a brute force to break through the formation. As a result, not only could we not do anything to the formation, but we also activated the formation's attack, resulting in the loss of 4 Xifu monks and injuring fellow Taoist Wen. I'm afraid it won't be appropriate to continue to use brute force to break it, so let's find another way." "Hey, this is the formation you mentioned earlier." When the formation was mentioned, Luo Huzi had the biggest reaction. He immediately ran to the formation and looked at it, as if he had seen some treasure. Seeing this, Li Mubing quickly reminded, "Don't touch the formation." "Ha ha ha." Luo Huzi looked like the old god was there, turned around and grinned at everyone and said, "No problem, no problem. This formation is a bit interesting. I'll take a closer look first." Seeing that Luo Huzi seemed careless and anxious, but fortunately he did not act rashly and touch the formation, Taoist Mu and Wen Xiumen secretly breathed a sigh of relief. Li Mubing began to introduce, "This formation is called Xumi Qian Kun formation. It has a triggering effect. Once anyone comes into contact with it, the formation will be triggered instantly and face the attack of ghosts and cold fire. Any one of those flame dragons condensed by ghostly cold fire is comparable to the strength of a golden core cultivator. It's very troublesome. The last time we failed, it was because we blindly broke the formation, so fellow Taoist Luo, please be careful and don't touch the formation at will." Li Mubing explained it in detail. She is not talkative in character, but once she speaks, her words contain very important information and can answer questions. "Senior Luo, as you can see, this time I invited you to join the team, and I also want to rely on your superb array attainments to overcome difficulties and see if I can break this Xumi Qian Kun array. As for the origin of the 5 Elements Sect's Mountain Protection Array, although Li Mubing does not understand the array and cannot identify it, but since she came here to explore last time and experienced it personally, it is still fresh in her memory. When she returned to Xuanbing Island, she began to collect all the information about the 5 Elements sect and finally determined that this array was the Xumi Qian Kun array. There are many arrays in the 5 Elements sect. After more than 600 years, few people remember this array anymore. It has long become a historical event and has almost disappeared in the long river of history. If there were not a small number of historical books that recorded the history of the 5 Elements sect, otherwise everyone would really have to explore by themselves what the array in front of them was. Sumeru Universe Formation. It's rare that such a formation can still be seen in the world. When he heard the origin of the formation, Luo Huzi restrained his smile, frowned, and began to wander in place. "It's difficult. Chapter 680 Ancient Formation. It was the first time I saw Luo Huzi showing such an expression. He was completely different from the bold and confident words and deeds he had seen when we got along before." Mu Taoran was the first to raise a question. Looking at the look on fellow Taoist Luo's face, "Could it be that even you, the formation master, can't break this formation?" Luo Huzi knew that he was involved. Since he had signed an agreement, he could only go all out. So he didn't feel anything embarrassed and said directly, "The Xumi Universe Formation originated before the Great Destruction in ancient times. It has been lost for a long time and is only recorded in very few ancient books. In terms of grade, this is a 6th level formation. At the same time, this formation is different from other formations. There are 2 sets in total, which are divided into outer formation and inner formation. The formation barrier we see now is naturally a outer formation. Even if we break this one, we still need to find a way to break the more powerful inner formation. The power of this outer formation can only reach 40% of the inner formation at most. But even so, Luo looked at the power of this outer formation as at least level 5. This is an outer formation comparable to the nascent soul level. Ah, if you want to crack it, you really think highly of Luo. A formation comparable to the nascent soul stage. Knowing the difficulty of this formation, Mu Taoran frowned and looked at Luohuzi seriously. Fellow Taoist Luo, are you sure you read it correctly? Old man Mu, what you mean by this is that you look down on Luo's formation knowledge. Luohuzi was already a little depressed, but now he was asked such a cold question by Taoist Mu. He suddenly felt like he was being looked down upon and glared at him. Luo doesn't dare to say anything else. You can never make a mistake in identifying the formation, otherwise, you will have no shame in getting involved in the formation in the future and call yourself a master of formations. Luohuzi's resolute response made Mu Taoist's expression darken, his frown tightened, and his eyes turned to Li Mubing. Li Mubing, you made it clear before that the power of the flame dragon embodied in this outer formation is comparable to that of a golden core monk, but you didn't confess that this formation can reach the nascent soul level. You are deceiving me by doing this. Mu Taoran's words were undisguised in his questioning tone. As soon as these words came out, the scene immediately became cold, as if a confrontation was about to start. Seeing that there was going to be internal strife in the team, Chen Qingyun frowned secretly, controlled Baoang to move closer to him, and focused his attention on Mu Taoist and Li Mubing. When he was at Zhuxiantu Tower, Li Mubing mentioned that before he could officially enter the ruins of the Five Elements sect, he needed to crack a formation first. As for the power of this formation, she had roughly described it, but it had not reached the nascent soul stage. But it was almost comparable to the peak of the golden core stage, so that's why Luohuzi was invited to help. But now, according to Luohuzi, the power of the outer array of Xumi Qiankun formation has reached the nascent soul level, and even he finds it very troublesome. Looking at it this way, did Li Mubing deliberately lower the power of the formation to get them on the boat first, or did he misjudge the formation? If this was really deliberately concealed, then it would be unreasonable to confess the truth now. How can we continue to work together? Being called out by Mu Taoist by name, Li Mubing did not get angry, but sighed quietly. Friend Mu Dao, don't be angry. Due to the long-term lack of maintenance of this formation, although the grade has indeed reached the 5th level, it is really the power is not up to the level of nascent soul. If it hadn't been like this, Taoist friend Wen and I triggered the formation last time, and I'm afraid we would all have perished here long ago. Friend Taoist Wen, is what she said true? Hearing this, Mu Taoran thought that it was his first time here. In order to verify the truth, he asked Wen Zaiuman. Wen Zaiuman didn't want to get involved in such a verbal fight, so she ignored Mu Taoist and looked directly at Luohuzi. Luohuzi was also silent, with a look of deep contemplation on his face. He had no time to talk to Taoist Mu, and continued to look at the formation and pondered it secretly, wandering in place from time to time. Seeing that no one paid attention to his inquiry, Mu Taoist snorted lowly. In the end, he could only find a sense of presence on Chen Qingyun's side, and took the initiative to talk to him. Chen Qingyun, we can't move forward now. I'm afraid this trip will end in vain. A formation is divided into an inner formation and an outer formation. This is really strange. This is the first time I have encountered such a difficult thing. Hey, the outer formation has such power that it can kill giant and monks. If we fight against the inner formation, wouldn't it be possible with our few manpower? While Mu Taoist was complaining, he also took a look at the Sumeru universe formation and wanted to explore for himself whether the power of this formation can really only be displayed at the golden core level. If this is beyond the golden elixir stage, then there is no need to explore the follow-up. It is better for everyone to go home honestly. Even before Mu Taoran finished what he said, everyone could understand the meaning. If you can't even deal with the outer formation, It's just a dream to go deep into the ruins of the Five Elements sect to get the core inheritance. Just practice for hundreds of years before you can do it again. For a moment, the atmosphere fell into silence. Chen Qingyun remained calm and observed secretly, and found that although this formation was a 6th level formation, it was comparable to the level of the God transformation stage. But as Li Mubing said, now that more than 600 years have passed, the entire formation has not been maintained, and it has been attacked by other explorers one after another. The power of the formation has naturally been reduced a lot. For now, the outer formation looks like it can reach the 5th level, but the power it can really unleash is at most the 4th level, which is equivalent to the peak of the Golden Core stage. This is the case in theory, but it really cannot exert the power of the nascent soul stage. However, considering that this formation is a complete set, once the outer formation is destroyed, whether the inner formation will cause a chain reaction is unknown. Huzi is proficient in formations, but he does not know much about this formation, and he is still thinking about it carefully. Chen Qingyun can think of this, and Wen Ziyumen and others are no exception. They also think of this concern and are thinking about what to do next. After a short silence, Li Mubing broke the calm. Fellow Taoist Luo's formation attainment is the 5th level of the lower grade. I believe there is a way to deal with this outer formation. We will take one step at a time and make a decision after finding out the specific situation of the inner formation. Mu Daoran did not want to be in vain. Seeing that everyone wanted to discuss, he did not want to turn around and go home at this point. He glanced at Li Mubing with a complaint, and stopped the old man's sulking look, saying, well, since we are already here, there is no reason to run back in disgrace. In my opinion, it is better to do this. If Luo Dao can make a contribution this time, according to the previous agreement, he can choose one of the subsequent treasures first. What do you think? Luo Huzi, a 5th level formation master, late Jinden, a cultivator in the Wanjiantu. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelist. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We are waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 681 Ghostly Cold Fire. Mu Daoren now gave up his good impression of Li Mubing, seeing that Wen Ziyumen didn't want to pay much attention to him. He simply focused on building a relationship with Luo Huzi. Hey, old man Mu, I am also tempted by the reward you mentioned, but this Xumi Qian Kun formation is extraordinary. I am not sure I can break it by myself. I, Luo, am not blessed with the treatment of choosing treasures first. Let's leave it to you, girl. Luo Huzi smiled bitterly and shook his head helplessly. Having come to this point, is it possible to go back home? Wen Ziyumen was the first one who was not happy and asked. Having come to this point, is there really no other way? How powerful is the formation? Let's try it first. After 20 years, maybe the power of the formation has declined. Li Mubing said, and he didn't want to give up. For now, this is the only way. Luo Huzi thought about it, and there was no other way now, so he nodded. If this trip is in vain and nothing is gained, I will be unwilling to accept it. If we want to deal with it, we have to test the power of the formation first. Luo must know the situation. Everyone, let's make it clear in advance. If you find something wrong later, stop immediately and don't stay. You have to protect your lives. Luo Huzi said very solemnly. In the end, only Chen Qingyun and Baoang did not express their opinions. Mu Daoran asked Chen Qingyun about his thoughts. Chen Qingyun nodded to see if this formation was easy to break. No one objected, and Luo Huzi took a deep breath. Everyone, get ready. After reminding him, he and several others kept a distance from the formation and sent a magic power to the formation barrier. With a bang, after a dull sound, bursts of black and white light rose from the entire formation barrier, looking extremely weird. Huff. Large patches of white flames began to condense, surging like thick smoke, and turned into 9 flame dragons, each of which looked ferocious and terrifying, up to 100 feet long, circling and dancing in the air. As soon as the 9 flame dragons appeared, even though they were more than 100 meters apart, everyone could still feel the cold air emitted by the flame dragons, which made people shiver all over. It seemed that if they got one step closer, they would burn people into ashes, leaving no bones behind. This ghostly cold fire was very strange, and in terms of power, it was almost close to the spiritual fire of heaven and earth. If it continued to be eroded and polluted by the netherworld chi for a few hundred more years, it was estimated that its power would be even stronger and could evolve into a complete ghostly cold fire. Many unattributed flames in this world were born under this condition. The netherworld chi can provide ghost cultivators with life and practice, and can also breed some rare natural treasures and spiritual fires of heaven and earth. Chen Qingyun's spiritual sense probed, and when he swept past those dark white flame dragons, he felt a bone-chilling cold sweeping over him, as if even his spiritual sense was about to freeze. This kind of flame is very strange. There is no obvious burning feeling, but it is like ice, which can freeze the soul of the cultivator, and will not have a killing effect on the body. This is also the most difficult part. The flame that can focus on the soul cannot be resisted by ordinary defensive magic weapons. Unless you use the means of the soul to fight, the final outcome will be the same as that of Master Hunyuan. Looking at the barrier of the formation again, the scene has changed at this time, and the surface is covered with a thick layer of white flames, which is also a ghostly cold fire. With the existence of this layer of flames, while blocking the ghost cultivators in the formation, it also further blocks the cultivators' steps forward, and they are not allowed to approach the formation within 100 meters. As long as you cross this 100-meter thunder pool and rush in head-on, it is equivalent to throwing yourself into the trap and destroying your soul. This is why this sect ruins has existed for so long and blocked many treasure hunters. It is really not so easy to enter. Now, like the treasure hunters before Taoist Hunyuan, the same problem is in front of them. That is, how to safely pass through this layer of flame barrier. Now that there is such a distance from the formation, the 9 fire dragons cannot pose a threat for the time being. But as long as they get close, the result will be different, and they will inevitably be attacked by the fire dragons. This is the ghostly cold fire, which is specifically used to attack the souls of cultivators. As long as it is contaminated with a little spark, it can easily kill the Purple Mansion cultivator. If a giant cultivator is contaminated, his life will be endangered in an instant. Don't underestimate it. Li Mubing said solemnly. As when Xiaoman had suffered this loss before, she looked solemn when she saw the ghostly cold fire appearing again, and she was secretly ready to launch all defensive measures. She didn't want to be injured here again and take half her life. Wohuzi observed it quickly for a while, saw the specific foundation of the formation, and started to introduce it briefly. This formation is very tricky. It has been affected by the netherworld for many years and has turned into a ghost formation. The original Qingguang spiritual fire has turned into a ghost fire. Cultivators must not touch it. Senior, Luo's formation is really amazing. Li Mubing said seriously. This formation has indeed changed. If it was the original Qingguang spiritual fire, we could find a way to deal with it. But this is an extremely rare cold spirit fire, and it is affected by the netherworld. The power has at least doubled. If it is not for the Yuanying Senior or the Formation Master to take action, it is simply a fantasy to want to break the formation. Speaking of this, Li Mubing asked the question that everyone wanted to ask. Senior, Luo, do you have a way to break the formation? Luo Huzi pondered for a moment and said, because of the existence of the netherworld chi underground, this has become the biggest source of power for the formation. If we try to block the earth veins to break the formation, this method will not work at all. Instead, it will further damage the eye of the netherworld on the seabed, allowing more netherworld chi to surge out, creating a more unfavorable situation for us. By then, some ghost cultivators in the formation will be no different from seeking death if they launch a siege against us without the formation blockade. Knowing the tricky part of the formation, Chen Qingyun subconsciously looked at Yu Ying, who was silent on the side. Since the formation cannot be forcibly cracked, The only way is to use the black water divine power to break a hole in the formation and open a passage to enter it while avoiding the attack of the Senator Leng Yanlong. In this way, there is also a way to enter without damaging the formation. This is what Chen Qingyun thought of, and it is also part of Li Mubing's plan. That's why he brought Yu Ying here, and he needs to rely on this disciple's magical power. No need to break the formation. I guess this second treasure hunt is not enough for us to explore the entire 5 Elements sect ruins. I'm afraid we will have to come again in the future. The danger level in this ruins is worth our vigilance, and we have to take one step at a time. Li Mubing said, and glanced at Yu Ying. Seeing that the other party nodded, he said to Luo Huzi. Senior Luo, how about this? You cast a spell to temporarily restrain the formation, and I will let my disciple use the black water magic to break a hole in the formation. Only in this way can we have a chance to enter the formation. The idea is good, and it can only be done this way. Luo Huzi made up his mind, and he didn't like to drag things out the most, so he immediately asked Chen Qingyun. To fight against the ghostly cold fire, we still need the assistance of fellow Taoist Chen. Let's use the power of fire to help Luo. What do you think? Just give it a try. Chen Qingyun responded. There is a connection between refining equipment and formations. He can think of how to cooperate with Yu Ying and Luo Huzi to open a gap in the formation. Chapter 682 Sun Essence Fire, Fire Domain Meteor. Okay, just wait for your words, fellow Taoist Chen. With Luo Huzi taking the lead, everyone had some confidence. Luo Huzi took out the 6 formation flags and set up a 5th level low-grade 5 element sunflower water formation. He used a high-grade spiritual stone as energy to activate the formation and exerted the power of the sunflower water to fight against the outer formation of the Xumi universe formation. Theoretically, water defeats fire, and sunflower water has the effect of resisting the power of fire attributes. Coupled with Chen Qingyun's blessing of fire attribute power, the blazing heat resisted the coldness of the ghostly cold fire, which could weaken the power of the 9 flame dragons to a great extent. Everyone, come on. Luo Hubeard looked solemn and took the lead to fly forward. As soon as they got within 100 meters of the formation, the 9 flame dragons sensed it and swept towards the crowd. Li Mubing was the first to make a move and use the mysterious Iceland technique, ice condensation divine water technique. Using his own magic power as energy, he condensed a divine water ice phoenix and hit 3 of the flame dragons. Wen Zai Uman's movements followed closely, and what she displayed was a purple fan magic weapon. She waved her precious fan forward, and immediately blew out a piercing 9 heaven wind, using the power of the wind to fight against the 2 flame dragons. The Mu Taoist's methods are much more ordinary. His own wood attribute power will be restrained by the flames. He does not choose to confront him head-on. Instead, he holds the wood god staff and needs to replenish mana for everyone at any time. Luo Huzi's methods were direct and crude, manipulating the sunflower water formation, and used a large amount of sunflower water to wash the world and extinguish those flame dragons. Chen Qingyun and Baoang stood in the air, each casting 2 flame spells. Chen Qingyun condensed the purple fire golden sword, and Baoang used the sea-breaking slash in Zhuanyangju, each facing a flame dragon. Songzhen and Yu Ying, due to their weak strength, did not participate in the attack. Instead, they acted according to the opportunity and were guarded behind them. Divine water and ice phoenix, 9 heavenly winds, heaven and earth sunflower water, purple fire golden sword, sea-breaking divine light. These 5 powers instantly burst out with top power, and they started a duel with 9 flame dragons in the air, colliding with each other with several rumbling sounds. Powerful energy shockwaves surged, and the whole world roared. Just when everyone thought the attack was effective, Luo Huzi's voice suddenly sounded. No, run away. As soon as he finished speaking, Chen Qingyun saw that dandy sunflower water not only did not take effect, but was firmly restrained by Yanlong. Originally, water defeated fire, but now it has been reversed, and it has become fire defeating water. As the water of heaven and earth collapsed, the expressions of Li Mubing and others changed suddenly, and they quickly dodged and retreated towards the rear. With a bang, Right after the heaven and earth sunflower water, the divine water ice phoenix was entangled by the flame dragon and turned into glass and shattered. Before the scattered ice slag hit the ground, it was ignited by the remaining power of the flame dragon and burned into white smoke. On Chen Qingyun and Baoang's side, the purple fire golden sword and sea-breaking slash also had no effect, and were easily disintegrated by Yanlong. The 5 golden elixir monks took action together, and in one encounter, all the attacks were disintegrated by the 9 flame dragons. This scene shocked Songzhen and Zhu Ying, and they retreated to the rear under the protection and leadership of Mu Taoran. After neutralizing everyone's attacks, the 9 flame dragons continued to fly forward as if they had spiritual power. Oops, how can this flame dragon be so powerful? Mu Taoran looked like he had seen a ghost, and used a magic shield to protect himself and Songzhen and Yu Ying beside him. Wuhuzi, Li Mubing, and Wen Zaiumen each had their own methods and launched defensive moves to deal with the flame dragon's attack. 9 flame dragons gathered together and attacked them head-on, their forest-white bodies soared in the air, emitting a chilly air that froze the whole world into a world of ice and snow. Feeling the cold air coming, Li Mubing thought that the ice attribute skills he practiced were really insignificant in front of the power of such ghostly cold fire. They were not on the same level and were far from enough to compete. The last time I came here and fought against the flame dragon was not so powerful at that time. This gets a little tricky. Wow. Just when Li Mubing was afraid and was about to call everyone to retreat, he suddenly heard the sound of mana coming from behind him. An astonishing power spread out, full of violence, ferocity, and fiery meaning. She glanced back and saw Chen Qingyun standing high in the air, his aura rising into the sky, fierce and heroic. Behind Chen Qingyun, the vigorous spiritual energy of heaven and earth surged, condensing into a huge circular pattern-like formation lines, which was filled with strong fire elements. At the same time, other people also noticed this scene. What a crazy power! Whoa! Huzi opened his mouth, only to feel that the cultivation aura displayed by Chen Qingyun at this time was far superior to that of his late giant. Amid everyone's attention, Chen Qingyun looked as usual. At the critical moment, he used the magical power fire meteor in the true solution to the sun without saying a word. All the sun essence fire condensed by the magic power in the body was mobilized, and under Chen Qingyun's seal, it was converted into this formation fire diagram. As the power in the formation fire diagram gathered to its peak, Li Mubing and others only felt a thrilling force emanating from the formation fire diagram. The shocking power it brings is no less than a top-notch talisman. The next moment, one could see the flames surging in Chen Qingyun's eyes, almost condensing into substance. With a faint wave of his hand, a large amount of flames burst out from the fire ray, like meteors across the sky, passing by them. The power of the flaming meteors caused several people to change their expressions. Especially Li Mubing, when a flaming meteor flew past him quickly, bringing with it the blazing power. He felt that the icy power in his body was firmly suppressed. Although they were both in the middle stage of the golden core, the sense of suppression brought by this power gap made Li Mubing feel frightened. The sun essence fire, a pure and extremely yang fire, symbolizes the power of the sun, is domineering and fierce, violent and fierce, and is known as the supreme of 10,000 fires. This is the fire of heaven and earth that created the world and gave birth to all things. The ghostly cold fire, derived from the Qiankun spirit fire, was eroded by the netherworld and turned into a cold ghost fire. It is a yin attribute fire and will be restrained by the extremely yang and fierce fire. 2 completely different flames appeared at the same time, belonging to 2 extremes, and at this moment, a peak duel broke out. Feeling the power of the sun essence fire, Li Mubing opened his mouth slightly, with a look of surprise on his face, and his eyes subconsciously followed the movement of these flaming meteors. Hundreds of flaming meteors crossed the sky, and with an absolute advantage in numbers, they fiercely bombarded the 9 fire dragons. Boom boom. A huge roar exploded, and 2 forces, one hot and one cold, collided, bursting out brilliant light, and the world trembled. When Li Mubing and his companions were surprised by such power, they looked closely and saw that the 9 fire dragons were blasted to pieces, turning into fragments of forest white flames falling from the sky, like a white train of fire. Looking at the flaming meteors again, the power was consumed by 70% to 80%, and the remaining 20 or so fell on the barrier of the formation, shaking out triples and making the outer formation rumble. Chapter 683, Turning the Tide. Black water divides into two. At the critical moment, Chen Qingyun took action decisively, not only resisting the 9 flame dragons with one person, but also disintegrating them all in one fell swoop. The suppressive effect brought about by this blow immediately made Luohuzi take a breath of cold air and couldn't help but praise. Good, good. He said 3 good words in a row, looked at Chen Qingyun with admiration in his eyes, and laughed loudly without concealing his shock. Fellow, Taoist Chen is so secretive and can actually resolve this Yanlong offensive by himself, which really makes Luo admire him. They are also practicing fire attribute skills. Luo is ashamed of himself. Among everyone, Luohuzi's strength is definitely recognized as being at the top. His compliment immediately lifted Chen Qingyun to a higher level. Wen Xiumen, who had always been indifferent, now looked at Chen Qingyun with a bit of admiration in her eyes, and she had already had the idea of making friends with Chen Qingyun, or even having a deep friendship with Chen Qingyun. How did he do it? Li Mubing's eyes were filled with brilliance, and he couldn't help but look at Chen Qingyun a few more times. I originally thought that when I invited Chen Qingyun to join the team, the other party would only bring puppet assistance. I didn't have to rely too much on combat effectiveness. I still had to rely on Luohuzi and the 3 late-stage giant and monks. Unexpectedly, Chen Qingyun would become such a blockbuster once he did not take action. He's so strong. Song Zin opened her mouth in shock, deeply feeling the gap between herself and Chen Qingyun, and having a more intuitive understanding of the power of the golden pill cultivator. After the power of the flame meteor was displayed, Chen Qingyun stood in the air and glanced at the formation lightly. He saw that although the Yanlong was disintegrated, the barrier of the formation was still strong. With the current level alone, it still lacks some firepower to break through this formation barrier with the fire domain meteor. Next, while the Yanlong has not yet condensed again, it is better to first figure out how to enter the formation. The opportunity cannot be missed and every second must be raced. Chen Qingyun glanced at everyone, fell on Luohuzi and Yu Ying, and said lightly, "It's your turn." The 9 flame dragons were completely wiped out and could no longer be condensed in a short period of time. They needed to absorb the energy of the netherworld to replenish their energy. This time is obviously the best time to take action. Good. Luohuzi nodded heavily and continued to maintain the 5-element sunflower water formation, using the power of the sunflower water to weaken the energy of the formation barrier, making it easier for Yu Ying to take action. Using a 5th level low-grade formation to fight against this Xumi Qiankun formation is really overestimating one's capabilities. Fortunately, it does not break the formation, but can also have some countermeasure effects. When several people saw this, they paid attention to the speed of the formation of the flame dragons, and quickly spread out their bodies to deal with the next crisis at any time. Led by Chen Qingyun, several people formed a formation and hung in front of the formation. Only 5 or 6 breaths had passed, and under the impact of a large amount of sunflower water, a lot of energy in one location on the formation barrier was washed away. Looking at the state of the flame dragon, it is about to condense and form again. Whether it can break through a gap in the formation this time depends on Yu Ying's next performance. Girl, it's time for you to show off. Luohuzi was sweating profusely and shouted towards Yu Ying. Quick! Yu Ying was well prepared and resolutely performed the black water fire technique. While holding the technique with both hands, she used part of her lifespan to create a black water magical power. Dark, thick black water condensed and appeared, flowing out from her hands, forming a torrent and hitting the formation barrier. This black water is extremely deep, absorbing all visible light, and contains a strange and powerful aura. becoming the darkest substance in the world. Such extreme power of water made Chen Qingyun and Huzi who were present only feel that the fire attribute power in their bodies was firmly suppressed and could not exert its power. Black water restrains all fire attributed powers in the world, including the spiritual fire of heaven and earth, and can directly push it across and destroy all fires. At the location hit by the black water, a large amount of ghostly cold fire extinguished and dissipated, making a hissing sound. An abnormality occurred on the formation barrier, and a nearly 3-meter circular hole was punched out, leading directly into the formation. Success. Using the black water magical power, he successfully opened a gap in the formation. This method worked. Li Mubing first glanced at Yu Ying distressedly, and then immediately called everyone to enter the formation. Get in quickly. According to the effect of this Xumi Qian outer formation, as long as the supply of power is sufficient and not cut off, the flame dragons can continuously condense. But this process of brewing and condensation takes time. As long as you are stuck at this point in time and open a gap in the formation, you can step into the formation. 6 breaths have passed, and the 9 flame dragons have condensed into shape and are about to launch an attack. The black water is still continuing, eroding the ghostly cold fire at the edge of the gap in the formation. Chen Qingyun and others know that time is precious and cannot tolerate delay. So one by one, they used their spiritual consciousness to explore the formation first, and after confirming that there was no danger, they quickly filed in. Whoosh, whoosh, several figures turned into streams of light, and when they landed on the ground, they had already entered the formation. As the gap in the formation quickly closed, Li Mubing finally brought Yu Ying to the formation. As soon as she set foot on the ground, Yu Ying's face turned pale and she stumbled, but was caught by Li Mubing in time. This time she used the black water magical power, which consumed a lot of energy on her, and she looked extremely pale. The whole person seemed to be in a state of collapse, and all his magic power had been exhausted. He was no different from immortal now. You, girl, you have done the most this time. Thank you for your hard work. Luo Huzi looked at Yu Ying's condition and sighed secretly. When he thought of the sequelae of the black water magic, he felt a shudder. Mu Daoren and his companions had already explored the scene here with their spiritual senses and confirmed that there was no danger for the time being. They paid attention to Yu Ying's condition for the time being. Chen Qingyun swept his spiritual sense and could sense that Yu Ying's aura had obviously weakened a lot. This time, the use of the black water magic directly consumed 1/5 of her lifespan. The purple mansion cultivator was able to break a hole in the 5th level formation. This achievement seemed powerful, but the price paid was not small at all. According to the maximum lifespan of the purple mansion cultivator of 500 years, Yu Ying was 150 years old, so this time, 100 years of lifespan was deducted. The use of the black water magic is calculated according to the total lifespan of the caster, not the remaining lifespan. Therefore, the lifespan deducted each time is basically the same. There is no such thing as having 5 years left in the end, and deducting 1 year of life after performing it once. The result is that the body dies immediately after performing it. This black water magic power is overbearing, and the side effects are equally overbearing. Yu Ying said nothing, resisting the feeling of exhaustion, gritted his teeth and took the elixir handed by Li Mubing to quickly restore his magic power, and changed to being supported by Song Xin. Chapter 684, Strange Corpse. Yu Ying's face turned pale, and he began to recover his blood and mana on the spot. Everyone gathered together and rested here temporarily. Fellow Taoist Chen, you can say that you have made a great contribution this time. If it weren't for your magic attack just now, we would probably still be dealing with those fire dragons. In Luo's opinion, you should have a share of the priority distribution of treasures. Wait until you girl chooses a treasure first, and then you can choose one. She has lost a lot of life this time, so she should have the right to choose first. This is also agreed in advance. Luo Huzi is generous and can distinguish right from wrong. At this time, he did not forget to take the initiative to abide by the content of the agreement and strive for benefits for Chen Qingyun. Everyone witnessed the effect of the fire meteor. If Chen Qingyun had not responded in time at the critical moment, he would have to deal with it now, and there might be casualties in the team. At this moment, Lu Huzi proposed, and Li Mubing and others couldn't refuse, so as not to chill Chen Qingyun's heart and affect the subsequent cooperation, so they could only nod. Chen Qingyun was not polite about this. If there was a benefit, he would definitely accept it with a smile. At the same time, he had a greater interest in the subsequent exploration. Because of the previous formation, Lu Huzi also consumed some mana, so he took the time to take the elixir to recover. Seeing this, Mu Daoran performed his skills, waved the magic staff of the sacred wood, and successively sent two forces into Yu Ying and Lu Huzi's bodies to help them recover. When Xiaoman and others looked at each other for a few times, and they were not in a hurry to move forward, while Yu Ying and the others recovered some mana, they carefully looked at the surrounding situation. Having entered the mountain gate, the first and most intuitive feeling is that the spiritual energy of the surrounding heaven and earth has become very thin, and many dark and turbid gases have appeared. This kind of gas cultivator only absorbed a little bit, and only felt dizzy and swollen, and easily produced irritable emotions. It's the netherworld chi. The spiritual energy of heaven and earth here has become turbid and contains some ghostly energy. When Xiaoman's eyes were filled with golden light, he used his spiritual eyes to peek around and saw a trace of dark aura mixed in the surroundings. Those were real netherworld chi. If you want to see the entity of these netherworld chi, you can only do it if you have a strange spiritual eye like Wen Xiaoman. Otherwise, only you Hunyuan cultivators can see these netherworld chi. You can't absorb the spiritual energy of heaven and earth here to restore your mana, old man Mu. I'm afraid you'll really drain your old bones next. In order to ease the atmosphere, Lu Huzi smiled and joked, causing Mu Daoran to curl his lips, turn his head away, and no longer pay attention to Lu Huzi. Li Mubing suggested, the further we go, the more netherworld chi there will be. You should try your best to restore your mana with spirit stones and pills. Several people nodded. As Chen Qingyun listened and nodded, he began to look around carefully. There were sect buildings around, large and small jade pavilions, guest pavilions, etc., most of which were in a damaged and collapsed state. There were dozens of corpses and bones scattered on the ground, most of which were embedded in the soil and covered with moss and weeds. The most eye-catching were three relatively complete corpses. Just like the discovery of Master Huangyan, there were also cultivators who had set foot here recently, but unfortunately they died here. Who are these people? They can actually break through the outer formation and come here. They are not simple. Mu Daoran had experienced it before, so he was alert and did not go forward, but looked at it from a distance. Chen Qingyun used his spiritual sense to scan the three corpses, and could clearly see that the postures of the three corpses falling to the ground were almost the same, all showing the direction of falling towards them. It seems that they all fled towards this side when they were alive, and were quickly killed by something, so that they didn't even have the strength to resist. The appearance of these three corpses, whether there is a certain connection with Master Huangyan, has aroused the vigilance of Mu Daoran and Chen Qingyun. A few people realized that the matter was not simple and the situation was a bit strange, so they did not rush forward to investigate, but waited for Lu Huzi and Yu Ying to recover. Being here, I always feel that there is some danger lurking around, as if being secretly watched by some unknown creatures. It seems that there are also ghost cultivators here, and they are better at hiding and more powerful. When Xiaoman can detect the existence of ghost cultivators because of her special physique. At this moment, she pays attention to the wind and grass around her, and pays close attention to anything wrong. After a while, Yu Ying and Lu Huzi recovered 80% to 90%, and everyone began to grope forward and passed by the three corpses. At this time, looking closely, from the clothes and appearance, these are three men, two of whom are in the Jinan stage and one in the Zaifu stage. Among them, the man in a black robe with a pattern of flowing streams embroidered on his robe attracted Yu Ying's attention. Yu Ying took a closer look and found that the other person was wearing the clothing style of the Blackwater lineage. They were from the same lineage. She couldn't help but show a look of regret on her face. This person is from the same clan as me. I don't know which elder died here. After taking a closer look at the other person's appearance, Yu Ying found that she had no impression of him and had never seen him in her memory. Their Blackwater lineage was almost extinct more than 300 years ago. The last dozen or so people who passed down were divided up by several major immortal cultivation families. Only her father Yu Zaizuo was a little luckier because he escaped the disaster because he was training outside. Until later, he learned that his family no longer existed and the clan land had been divided up. In order to survive, Yu Zaizuo had no choice but to seek refuge in Xuanbing Island, where he stayed for more than 190 years. During this period, Yu Zaizuo became a Taoist partner with Zhu Huijin, a female cultivator from Xuanbing Island, and gave birth to her. The Blackwater lineage she practiced was inherited from her father. This time, the reason why Yu Ying came to participate in the treasure hunt was not because she was forced by Xuanbing Island, but purely to repay the kindness of Xuanbing Island for taking her in and repay this kindness for her father. Luo Huzi frowned and said with a puzzled look, "They arrived here before us, but ended up like this. Is there any threat here that can instantly wipe out 2 Jinden and a purple mansion cultivator?" It is not difficult to guess that it is obvious that the 3 of them also held the idea of not destroying the formation at the beginning, and used the Blackwater divine power to open a gap in the formation and enter here. How the other party dealt with the 9 fire dragons at that time is unknown. Jinden cultivators all have some tricks, and it is difficult to guess clearly. However, why did these 3 people die here and present such a strange death? If you think about it carefully, it is probably related to ghost cultivation. There is a problem here. Since the 3 dead people left behind storage bags, everyone first explored them and confirmed that there were no ghost cultivators possessed on the 3 bodies. Then, they picked up the storage bags and checked them, hoping to find some useful clues. Chapter 685, Beautiful Woman in Grey Robe. More than 100 years later, the remaining divine thoughts on the 3 storage bags had long been weak and were wiped out in an instant. The bags contained nothing more than some resources needed by the cultivators. There were a lot of elixirs, magic tools, and talismans to restrain ghost cultivators, which showed that they were well prepared. But even with such sufficient preparations, the ending was still regrettable. Finally, judging from some of the identity items collected in the storage bags, the other 2 people were from a cultivation family, the Shui family, not from the Star Sea, but from a local family in the Thunder Spirit Sea. They are cultivators from the Shui family lineage on the Ice Island. The patriarch of this family is quite powerful and is said to be expected to advance to the nascent soul stage. These 2 people are probably elders of the Shui family. Luo Huzi has rich experience. Seeing this, his face was more puzzled and he couldn't help muttering, "It's strange. The Shui family has been fighting with the Zhu family of Wanch Valley for more than 200 years. They want to stay at the other side's door every day. It doesn't make sense for them to send family elders to take risks here. What else could it be? Fortune is sought in danger. What can drive them to take risks is nothing more than interests. It seems that the opportunity of the 5 Elements sect is not small." Mu Dao Ren spoke up. Mu Dao Ren, late Jinden cultivation, elder of Yaoang Mountain. All the people present are smart. After a little thought, they can guess that there must be some treasure here that firmly attracts the Shui family cultivators. So much so that the Shui family is willing to send out people and send family elders to explore treasures here when fighting against powerful enemies. It's a pity that the treasure is probably not obtained, and the family elders are killed here, and no one leaves alive. Otherwise, there will be no storage bags left. It can be seen that these 3 people are not on the same path as Master Huang Yan. Otherwise, the storage bag the Master Huang Yan lost would appear here. Or, the storage bags of these 3 people would be in Master Huang Yan's hands. Mu Daoren knew a lot about Master Huang Yan, so how could he not recognize the relics left by his friend? Among the corpses we have encountered so far, 3 Jinden monks have died. If the monks who dared to take risks here don't think they have some means, how can they appear here? Whether to continue the road behind, you may as well think about it again. The road ahead is difficult. When Mu Daoren sighed, his face showed a solemn look, and he began to confirm everyone's determination to explore. If there is any idea of wavering, It is better to go back home. The death of Master Huanyuan has already made Mu Daoren want to retreat. Now seeing the corpses of giant monks again, he immediately felt a little fear about the subsequent exploration. These 3 monks can break the outer formation and come here, which shows that they are capable. The 5 elements sect ruins have been able to exist until now, and have not been taken away by the cultivators. This is enough to show how dangerous it is. How can a person who is not extremely lucky and powerful obtain the great opportunity here? Old man Mu, at this time, why are you still shooting yourself in the foot and suppressing your own morale? If you turn around and leave now, will you pay for you girls' 100-year lifespan? Don't fan us back here. Hearing what Taoist Mu said, Luo Huzi showed displeasure on his face and glared at Taoist Mu. Luo will not listen to your fanning the flames. Luo will take the road behind. Hey, what are you talking about, brother Luo? Originally, he couldn't help sighing and reminding everyone to be careful on the subsequent journey, but Luo Huzi said a few words to him. Taoist Mu was embarrassed and smiled shamelessly. Since we have come this far, I will not be willing to go on a good journey. You girls' efforts cannot go to waste. Okay, all of you shut up. When Zayuman said coldly, are you making so much noise to attract the ghost cultivators around? Do you have to fight to feel comfortable? Ha ha ha, shut up, it's because I have a foul mouth. With such a step, Mu Daoren took the opportunity to speak, laughed, and walked aside without saying anything more. Luo Huzi came for Qixia Lingzi, how could he give up here halfway? Mu Daoren is asking for trouble, and he backed out at this time. With just a few people in the team, once they are not united, the subsequent exploration will be difficult. Seeing that the unpleasant atmosphere was relieved, Chen Qingyun said in his heart, paying close attention to the actions of the few people. After this little farce, the atmosphere became a little subtle. Everyone cleaned up and continued to move forward in a team, quietly along the way. After walking more than 2,000 meters, Wen Zayuman suddenly stopped and stared at the front. There is a ghost cultivator. With her reminder, Chen Qingyun and others slowed down their pace and looked over in the direction of her gaze. Under a welcoming pavilion in front, a beautiful woman in a grey Taoist robe suddenly appeared. She looked elegant and noble, with a slender figure and a graceful posture. What was even more eye-catching was that this person had no expression on her face, and there was a faint green light in her eyes, which looked quite strange. When she noticed the appearance of Chen Qingyun and others, the grey-robed beautiful woman looked over with a dull face, without any verbal greeting, but suddenly spread her body and rushed over. It's really a ghost cultivator. Mu Daoren was shocked. The ghost cultivator who could appear here was probably not an ordinary thing. He immediately thought of the 3 Taoist friends who had been buried here before. When Zayuman reacted the fastest. After giving a warning, she sacrificed a large golden net to face the ghost cultivator head-on and enveloped the beautiful ghost cultivator. This is the golden thunder god wire net, which contains the power of thunder and fire, which can restrain ghost cultivators and envelope the beautiful ghost cultivator in one fell swoop. The beautiful ghost cultivator was trapped and wrapped up like a zongcai by the golden thunder god wire net. A large amount of thunder and firepower surged, causing bursts of black smoke to burst out from the opponent's body. He screamed in pain and made a harsh and sad sound, which made people tremble in their hearts. The strength of this ghost cultivator has reached the late giant stage. He is currently active in the form of a spirit and soul. He wants to possess people. He does not have any wisdom, only the instinct of attacking and escaping like a beast. Being firmly suppressed by the golden thunder god wire net, he was completely unable to resist. He tried to escape, but the next moment he was hit by the ice ruler thrown by Li Mubing and cut in half. However, the advantage of ghost cultivators is that it is not fatal for the spirit to be cut into several pieces, and it can still heal. She separated a strand of her soul and focused all her consciousness on this spot, rushing towards Song Xin, who had the weakest cultivation. Song Xin seemed to be at the bottom of the group and did not know the Blackwater divine ability. Facing the attack of this giant stage ghost cultivator, she did not show any panic. She looked calm, and when she raised her hand, More than a dozen silver threads shot out from her sleeves, as agile as a spirit snake, and immediately entangled the beautiful ghost cultivator. Song Zin's attack immediately attracted Wen Xiumen's attention, and she could not help but secretly exclaim in surprise. Being able to restrain a ghost cultivator with the cultivation of the Purple Mansion stage and entangle the opponent's ghost body, this silver thread is not simple, and is definitely not an ordinary magic weapon. Chapter 686, Gintama and number 039:S body. Her golden thunder god wire net was made of special materials and was specially made to deal with ghost cultivators. It was a 4th level top grade magic weapon. Although in terms of effect, this golden thunder god wire net can bind ghost cultivators and play a restraining role. But in terms of power, it is not outstanding among magic weapons of the same level. It is not as strong and durable as the flying sword of the same level, and it is easy to be damaged by the opponent. This is also the weakness of this kind of magic weapon, which is not perfect. Song Zin's silver silk thread was successful, and it entangled the beautiful ghost cultivator in one fell swoop, locking it in the void and unable to move for a while. Wen Xiumen saw this binding effect and admitted that she was not as good as it. The binding ability of the golden thunder god wire net was far less than this. This was a move performed by a Purple Mansion cultivator, and it was able to bind a giant and stage ghost cultivator across levels. It can be seen how extraordinary it is. A fairy sword with thunder surging came, seizing this opportunity, wrapped in rolling thunder, and hit the body of the beautiful ghost cultivator with one blow. The thunder contained in the thunder sword has the effect of restraining demons and evil spirits. This blow, under the impact of the violent thunder power, shattered the last wisp of the beautiful ghost cultivator's soul in one fell swoop, and played a decisive killing effect. Thunder, attack, it's the thunder sword. Fellow Taoist Chen has such a method. Seeing Chen Qingyun's move, showing the power of the flying sword, although Mu Dao Ren also did not recognize what Song Zin's silver thread was, he recognized the origin of this flying sword at a glance. Fellow Taoist Chen looks young, but he is really hidden. At the same time, the effect of the beautiful ghost cultivator being killed by this sword attracted Wen Xiumen and others to look at the thunder sword twice. Such a magical weapon that restrains evil spirits and has such a powerful killing effect is more than enough to fight against giant and stage ghost cultivators. Heavenly Thunder Sword, the magic weapon secret of Xingzong. Chen Qingyun actually has such a fairy sword in his hand. It seems that this person has a high status in Xingzong. Li Mubing thought to himself, it's right to invite him to participate this time. Several people have already found out about Chen Qingyun's identity and background and know some of his background. The second time I saw Chen Qingyun's amazing performance, I couldn't help but sigh in my heart. The beautiful ghost cultivator was killed, and the appearance of this ghost cultivator aroused everyone's vigilance. When Xiumen looked around and made sure that there was no threat for the time being, she waved and retracted the golden thunder god wire net, and looked at Song Zin with interest. I saw the other party's sleeves shook, and also retracted the silver silk thread. With the help of the spirit eye, she saw a faint silver light flowing on Song Zin's body, which flashed and disappeared as the silver silk thread was retracted. Song, girl, are you a silver soul body? Wen Xiumen asked, not sure in her heart, but guessing a little about her origin. She didn't care if a giant and cultivator would feel embarrassed to ask this question to a Zaifu Jr. Yes, senior. Song Zin nodded seriously. Oh, silver soul body. This response immediately attracted Mu Daoran to marvel again, and he walked a few steps closer to Song Zin. TSK, fellow Taoist Li's subordinates are really talented. This one is the descendant of the Blackwater lineage, and the other has a silver soul body. I was short-sighted before, short-sighted. Mu Daoran's actions, like Wen Xiumen, didn't care about his high-handed attitude as a giant and cultivator, and was willing to lower himself in front of the two Zaifu Juniors. Hearing the term silver soul body, Chen Qingyun couldn't help but look at Song Zin, showing a little surprise. The name of this silver soul body can be guessed. It is not an ordinary soul physique, but a special gifted body. The soul is light silver, hence the name. For cultivators below the nascent soul stage, the soul is usually placed in the Tao body. As the cultivation becomes stronger, the soul can be continuously strengthened, thereby enhancing the consciousness and mind. Only after reaching the nascent soul stage can the soul be free to leave the body and move outside for a long time without being restricted by heaven and earth. At the same time, the soul can also be used to practice some soul-related exercises alone. Only by leaving the body can the soul be used to exert the power of heaven and earth and kill people invisibly. The cultivators with the silver soul body are born with a special soul that surpasses ordinary people. The owner of this physique, as long as the guidance is in place, can focus on the soul and Tao body, and can realize the free movement of the soul without reaching the nascent soul stage. In the face of the possession of the body by high-level cultivators, they can rely on the innate advantages of the soul to counter-possess the body and destroy the opponent's soul. In history, there are many cases where high-level cultivators, out of greed, took over the bodies of cultivators with silver souls, but were taken over by them and inherited their memories and soul cultivation. This is the power of the silver soul, which makes the taker shudder. Since childhood, they have been able to show amazing advantages in the field of souls and can control powerful magic tools across levels. The silver thread that Song Xin just displayed must be her life magic weapon based on the soul and refined by herself, which can directly strike ghost cultivators with precision. In front of her, the giant and ghost cultivators could only be subdued by the silver thread and lose their ability to move for a short time. In addition to the silver thread, Song Xin probably refined a second or even a third life magic weapon, which can definitely restrain ghost cultivators. This time, she displayed the silver thread and nodded to admit it, which also showed her value and was not a burden. Not only can she control the 4th level magic weapon with the Purple Mansion stage, but she can also defeat ghost cultivators. Don't underestimate her. Good, Song girl, with you here, we can be much more relaxed this time. Very good, very good. Luo Huzi had also heard of the silver soul body and praised it with great appreciation. None of the cultivators who can participate in the treasure hunt are here to make up the numbers. Whether it is the Purple Mansion stage or the Golden Core stage, they all have their own unique skills and can play a key role. After pacifying the ghost cultivator attack, everyone continued to move forward. A hall appeared in the distance. Judging from its shape and location, it looked like a welcoming hall. After everyone entered together, they conducted a careful investigation and did not find any valuable items in it. The Five Elements sect covers a huge area, with more than 100 temples built, countless caves, and more than 20 spiritual veins built in total. With the speed of a mortal, it would take at least 3 or 4 months of uninterrupted walking to cross the entire Five Elements sect. Before preparing to explore the Five Elements sect for the first time, Li Mubing and his companions had found ways to collect information about the Five Elements sect and mastered the map of the sect. They knew exactly where the buildings such as the Spiritual Medicine Garden, the Book Pavilion, the Alchemy Hall, and the Weapon Refining Hall were located. According to the current blockade of the Xumi Qiankun Formation, everyone can only move around here through the outer formation for the time being. The difficulty of entering the inner formation is still unknown, and it may be even more difficult. We have to go and see it to know. In order to facilitate the exploration, Li Mubing said that she divided the ruins of the Five Elements sect into 2 areas. Chapter 687 Outer Sect Refining Hall. This area between the outer formation and the inner formation was called the outer sect by Li Mubing. The core area of the sect sealed within the inner formation is called the inner sect. If divided in this way, then their current location is operating in the outer sect area. According to the map instructions, the 3 key resource areas, the Alchemy Hall, the Weapon Refining Hall, and the Spiritual Medicine Garden, are located in this outer sect area. Everyone kept walking, and after passing through the Welcoming Hall and walking for more than 10 miles, a sapphire hall appeared in front of them. Judging from its shape and comparison with the map, it belonged to the Weapon Refining Hall. It's just that more than 600 years have passed, and the magic weapons stored in this Weapon Refining Hall are probably still alive. We will explore them later, but please ensure that safety is the first priority. Li Mubing issued a reminder. According to the records, There are some guardian puppets in the refining hall. The strength of these puppets is between the foundation building stage and the golden elixir stage. Let's clean up the puppets first and collect the magic weapons later. When mentioning this weapon refining hall, Chen Qingyun's eyes lit up. A huge interest arose in his heart, and he nodded calmly. Guardian puppets, without the control of monks, the strength of those puppets will not be too difficult to deal with. These puppets should be trivial, just in time to warm up. Whoa. Huzi said that he was not very interested in the weapon refining hall. This time he came mainly to go to the spiritual medicine garden. But according to the exploration route, the spiritual medicine garden is close to the intersect area. The safest way to explore all the way forward is to progress step by step. Let's proceed from the weapon refining hall, the alchemy hall, and the spiritual medicine garden in this order. During this exploration period, once they encounter an invincible danger, they will immediately run away as a group and cannot be reluctant to fight. If you want to explore again, then come back well prepared next time. After a while, everyone entered the weapon refining hall. The refining hall is divided into 2 floors. There are hundreds of refining rooms built on the first floor, which are connected to a 4th-level fire vein underground. This is the preferred place for refining weapons for 5 elements sect disciples. The second floor is a place for collecting and displaying magical artifacts, similar to the Sacred Artifact Hall in Lingbao Mountain, where disciples can gain enlightenment and learn to refine magical artifacts. Everyone first explored the first level and found that most of the caves were empty, with only some common mundane forging materials, such as 100 forged steel and so on. There are only a few, about 100, refining rooms with some refining materials, and there are some corpses among them. They seem to be disciples of the 5 Elements sect who refined weapons here during their lifetime. Because the sect had no time to escape when it was destroyed, and was killed here by the aftermath of the battle. The temperature in all the refining rooms is blazing and high all year round. Due to the long-term exposure to the blazing fire, these corpses have long been turned into dry corpses and turned into fly ash at the slightest touch. On the other hand, the refining materials, storage bags, and finished instruments are basically well preserved and have a warranty period of hundreds or thousands of years. Adhering to the principle of not wasting anything, Huzi looked at Chen Qingyun and the others and expressed his thoughts frankly. There are probably no treasures on the first floor of this palace, and there are no guardian puppets placed there. Do you want these things or not? I don't mind, Luo. If you don't want them, I won't be polite. If you want it too, do you want to keep it until the end and divide it together, or do you want to collect it freely now? There are probably a lot of good things in the back. As for the signed agreement and the spoils, there was no detail on which items would be collected together and divided afterwards. There was a lot of flexibility here. As the leader, Li Mubing was the first to express his thoughts and said, everyone can collect the items on the first level according to their needs. Okay. Luo. Hubeard nodded quickly and started to make some moves. With a wave of his sleeves, he used the object control technique and put more than a dozen pieces of red scale ore and goblin stone, the first-level weapon refining materials, into the storage bag without being polite at all. What Chen Qingyun currently lacks the most is the weapon refining materials and magical weapons. He secretly commanded Baoang and Luo Huzi to make a bold move and pocketed some materials and finished magical weapons. Haha, you too, I should also collect some treasures and be happy. Seeing this, the other Mu Taoists smiled and joined the collection team. In addition to Wen Ziumen and Li Mubing, Song Xin and Yu Ying also couldn't hold it any longer and started to take action unceremoniously. In less than half a stick of incense time, the first floor was looted by several people. Everyone worked non-stop, waiting to enter the second floor of the refining hall, and found that there were more magic weapons here. At first glance, all kinds of magical instruments are neatly arranged, with the number being at least 5,000. At the same time, just as Li Mubing said, humanoid figures began to appear on the second floor, which quickly attracted everyone's attention. These humanoid objects were carved into the shape of men, with heads, arms, and bipedal torsos. If you look closely, You can see that their bodies are even carved with clothing and armor-like patterns, which look quite lifelike. Each of them is tall and majestic. For distinction, the puppets have the same appearance, but the colors of the armor carved on their bodies are different. Unified into 3 categories. The foundation stage is green armor, the purple palace stage is purple armor, and the golden elixir stage is gold armor. Puppet. Whoa! Huzi was about to move, but he immediately stopped when he stepped out. He was slightly shocked by the majestic appearance of these puppets, and did not act rashly. Seeing these puppets, Chen Qingyun's eyes were bright, and he secretly tried to contact them with his spiritual consciousness. After scanning them, he found that these puppets did not have the origin of the 5 elements and were not considered 5 elements puppets. Although they are just ordinary puppets, their strengths range from the foundation building stage to the golden elixir stage. There are at least 100 of them. It seems that it will take some effort to deal with them. The purple mansion stage and a small number of golden elixir stage puppets are orderly distributed around the 3rd and 4th level magic tools, acting as guards. If you want to obtain high-grade magic tools, you have to subdue these puppets first. Compared with using prohibitions to protect magic tools and prevent disciples from touching and taking them at will, using puppets to deter and guard can obviously better protect these precious magic tools. When facing a war, puppets are more useful than prohibitions. They can actively participate in the battle and contribute a part of their strength. It's a pity that the 5 Elements sect was destroyed too quickly. It seems that before they had time to control these puppets to participate in the battle, the cultivators who could control them fell first. It is particularly critical whether these puppets can be triggered now. What Chen Qingyun was most concerned about were the giant puppets, a total of 6 of them, standing neatly in front of a row of 4th level magic weapons, like guardian soldiers. Since there was no 5-element origin, the puppets must be powered by spirit stones. The spirit stones that could power the giant puppets were at least high-grade spirit stones, equivalent to a purple mansion crystal, which was of great value. If it was a top-grade spirit stone. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelist. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We are waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 688 Goblin Rat. Chen Qingyun used the Qi gazing technique in Zhuxiantu and scanned through the body coverings of several puppets with his eyes, and saw the storage location of the core energy. The internal structures of these puppets in the palace are exactly the same. Even the carving techniques of their clothes are exactly the same. They are obviously made by the same person. Looking at the place where the spirit stone is placed, it is on the back of the neck, covered by a detachable armor. Chen Qingyun looked closely at the materials used to make these puppets, but he didn't recognize them, so they are not yet known. Come to think of it, if it has been able to go through more than 600 years without any signs of rust or antiquity, this refining material must be extraordinary. As Chen Qingyun looked at them, the appearance of these puppets also firmly attracted the attention of Wen Xiumen and Li Mubing. There are more than 100 puppets in total. Are we attacking by force or something? Fairy, Ice Spirit, do you know of any way to quickly subdue these puppets? Is it written in the notes? What are the conditions that trigger these puppets? Looking at those 4th level magic weapons, Huzi was eager to keep them as his own. He turned around and asked Li Mubing, asking several questions in a row. He wanted to see if there was any way to deal with these puppets recorded in the handwritten note. If so, it would be better to save a little more effort. No. Li Mubing shook his head. These guardian puppets can only attack by force. We still need to figure out how to trigger them. As for whether these puppets can still act normally after more than 600 years, there is no need to question it. The spiritual power of a medium-grade spiritual stone can be preserved for at least 1,000 years without deliberate extraction and use. Top-grade and top-quality spiritual stones have a longer shelf life. Since the 5 Elements sect will set up puppets here, many factors will naturally be taken into consideration. so that there will not be a problem that the puppets cannot be activated even if the spirit stone energy is still there. The only thing that needs to be considered is what the trigger mechanism is when the decorator sets up these puppets. Luohuzi looked carefree and rough, but at this time, he was more cautious than anyone else and did not act trashly. Mu Dao was worried, so he thought for a while and said, "We can deal with each of the 6 golden elixir stages, so it's not that difficult. But there are more than 50 other Zaifu period puppets in number. Yu Ying and the 2 girls alone are far from rivals. This is not easy to deal with. And it's hard to say what specific methods these puppets will use." Hearing this, Yu Ying lowered her head secretly. Song Xin, on the other hand, pretended not to hear at all and followed closely beside Li Mubing, looking thoughtful, not knowing what she was thinking. "Hey, what are you doing with Mojiji? It's better to wait for Luo to come and try it first." As soon as he finished speaking, Luohuzi said that he wanted to go in and try it himself, but his actions were still extremely cautious. Everyone saw him take out a spirit animal bag from his waist, and after clicking his tongue twice, a tawny mouse heard the call, poked its head out of the bag, and crawled on his arm. Goblin, rat. Seeing this mouse, Mu Taoran was the first to recognize it and couldn't help but give Luohuzi a strange look. I thought to myself that this Luohubeard looked tall and powerful, but how could he raise a spiritual pet like this, a mouse the size of a palm. Goblin rats are second-level high-grade spiritual beasts. They live in groups and reproduce. They are good at escaping from the ground. In terms of attack power, they can only bite their opponents with their mouths open. The only remarkable thing is that they have the function of dredging the earth veins, and can play an excellent auxiliary effect when optimizing underground spiritual veins and spiritual mines. This goblin rat was very clever. After receiving Luohuzi's order, he quickly landed on the ground and entered the temple. Out of vigilance, the goblin rat did not run around, but stared closely at the puppets that stood still. 1 meter, 5 meters. 10 meters, 20 meters. After the goblin rat traveled more than 20 meters, the puppets that had been standing still all moved in unison, turning their heads sideways and looking in the direction of the goblin rat. The goblin rat was stared at by many puppets. He wanted to escape by hiding, and plunged into the ground. He found that the ground was covered with forbidden laws, and he couldn't even bite a bit of ground. Whoosh. A Zaifuki puppet stepped forward, swung the spear in his hand and struck it hard, scaring the goblin rat into panic and dodging. But as soon as it escaped the fatal stab, its body was firmly grasped by a big hand. Immediately afterwards, there was only a pop, and the goblin rat was caught and exploded by one hand. The person who killed it was a Zaifuki puppet. He didn't care about the blood on his hands and continued to patrol the palace. The same goes for the other puppets, who have transformed into guardian gods and will never let go of any slight disturbance. However, when their eyes swept over Chen Qingyun and others, when everyone immediately covered their figures, the puppets turned a blind eye and looked elsewhere. After patrolling the hall 3 times, and after confirming that there was no threat, the puppets returned to their original positions and continued to maintain their motionless postures. After this trial, at the expense of a goblin rat, everyone understood the rules for triggering the puppet. Obviously, such strict guardianship rules will definitely not be targeted at 5-element sect disciples. If everyone is treated equally, then who would dare to set foot in this weapon refining hall without killing his own family members? The only possibility is that when the family was wiped out, the top leaders of the 5-element sect changed the puppet guardian rules. The reason for doing this is that we don't want the magic weapons here to fall into the hands of foreign enemies. We would rather keep them here even if they are covered in dust. What do you think? After probing the results, Luohuzi asked everyone what they thought. No need to delay, let's deal with these puppets first. Chen Qingyun didn't think much and suggested to do it directly. Why, fellow Taoist Chen, are you sure you can knock down these puppets? There are so many treasures here. If we use a large-scale attack, it will be painful to accidentally hurt those treasures. Luohuzi spoke quickly and asked back immediately, Thinking of the fire domain meteor that Chen Qingyun had used before. He was still thinking about how to attack this time. If one person really fights a giant and stage puppet, Yu Ying and Song Xin, the two girls, will have no time to care. It will be bad if something happens at that time. The descendants of the Blackwater lineage and the Silver Soul body are both precious and can't be obtained. Chen Qingyun glanced at Luo Huzi, without any intention of explaining, and replied lightly. Chen took the initiative. Chen Qingyun has a lot of experience in dealing with puppets. Back in the Tangai cave, he fought against the tiger puppet of the Jiandan period with the strength of the Xifu period, and he had gained a lot of experience. Now there are 6 Jiandan period puppets, any of which is a treasure, and the family and himself will not mind collecting a few more. Luo Huzi wanted to say something else, but Chen Qingyun nodded to Bang, locked 2 of the Jiandan puppets together, and stepped into the weapon refining hall. Guarding the puppets, the Golden Armor. Chapter 689, A Huge Profit. Bang continued to use the magic form to gather his breath, and took the lead in performing the wood entanglement technique, entangled a Jiandan puppet in one fell swoop. The strength of this Jiandan puppet was at the peak of Jiandan when it was created. Because it did not know how to perform the technique, it was bound by the entanglement of the wood vine in one fell swoop. Chen Qingyun moved quickly, and when he and Bang launched the 5-element sky escape, he used the devil binding lock and hit the back of the puppet's neck. This Jiandan puppet was bound and wanted to struggle. Chen Qingyun seized the opportunity and used the devil binding lock as a carrier to perform the cold attribute of the purple and green divine flame in his hand. Through the transmission of the devil binding lock, the cold spiritual fire spread out and froze the puppet firmly. Immediately afterwards, the properties of the purple and green divine flame changed, turning into a blazing flame, and once again passed through the devil binding lock and swept around the neck of the puppet in one fell swoop. First freeze with the power of coldness, and then impact and burn with the blazing temperature. Under the instantaneous destruction of the cold and hot forces, even the hardest materials will be destroyed and become as brittle as paper. Chen Qingyun used a little force and cut off the puppet's neck with the magic lock, and a blue spirit stone fell to the ground with a clang. This is a high-grade spirit stone. The Qingguang sleeve was used, and the damaged puppet was put into Chen Qingyun's sleeve. The whole action took less than 2 breaths. At the same time, many puppets around reacted and began to surround and kill, but the movement was not fast. Seeing Chen Qingyun take action, he quickly subdued a Jiandan stage puppet. Although it is not clear what method was used, it is a good thing for everyone. Luo Huzi immediately couldn't stand it and called on everyone to take action together. Hurry up and help fellow Taoist Chen. With Chen Qingyun taking the lead and achieving results, Li Mubing and others quickly joined the battle. The remaining 5 Jiandan puppets, a group of foundation building and purple mansion puppets, were naturally no match for the joint efforts of several people. Chen Qingyun followed suit, continuously using the purple and green divine flame, and combined with the attack of the demon binding lock, he subdued 2 more Jiandan puppets, collected the spirit stones, and put the puppet bodies into the Qingguang sleeves. In less than an incense stick of time, all the puppets were destroyed. Chen Qingyun harvested 3 of the 6 Jiandan puppets. The other 3 were taken away by Luo Huzi, Wenzai Uman, and Mu Daoran. Those foundation building and purple mansion puppets were temporarily piled on the ground. Due to their large number, they posed no threat to the Jiandan cultivators, and they were eliminated by everyone's joint efforts. Several people began to divide them on the spot, and each of them had something to gain. After the puppet threat was resolved, the many magic weapons around became trophies and began to attract everyone's attention. So many magic weapons. Luo Huzi's eyes lit up, suppressed his inner restlessness, looked at Li Mubing and others, and asked tentatively without hiding his jealous expression. What about the things here? Just like the first floor, we can each take what we need? As soon as he finished asking this question, he saw Li Mubing respond with action, and put a 3rd-level flying sword into the storage ring nearby. Ha ha ha, good, good, good. Luo Huzi said 3 good words in a row, showing the style of a casual cultivator, and searched without hesitation. Chen Qingyun took the lead and secretly controlled the 8 desolations, faster than Wuhuzi, and put all the magic weapons within 100 meters around him into storage bags. He himself also collected some 3rd level and 4th level magic weapons. As a sect of the God of Transformation, the 5 Elements sect has many magic weapons displayed in this weapon refining hall. Almost half are 1st level magic weapons, 2nd level accounts for 30%, 3rd level 20%, and 4th level nearly 10%. There is no collection of 5th level spiritual treasures here. With so many magic weapons, Wanjiantu and Mu Daoren became interested and began to collect them one after another. Wuhuzi was born as a casual cultivator. He adhered to the principle of not wasting all spiritual stones, and his collection action was not much slower than Chen Qingyun. Baoang received the order and accelerated the collection action. Chen Qingyun did not forget to sacrifice 20 Qi refining stage puppets to join the ranks of collecting magic tools. So many puppets, I knew it. Seeing many 5-element puppets appear and join the team to collect magic tools, Wuhuzi twitched the muscles on his face, showing envy, and couldn't help but secretly complain that it was not fun to play like this. We just subdued those puppets, but a large number of puppets appeared in our team. If I had these puppets to help, more than 50% of the magic tools present would be collected by me. Not only Wuhuzi, Wanjiantu, Mu Daoren and others also noticed Chen Qingyun's actions, and they hurriedly accelerated their actions. Songzhen and Zhu Ying, who came here, naturally did not want to be outdone, and collected magic tools at the fastest speed. Nearly 10,000 magic tools were collected in less than an incense stick of time. No one would be polite at this time. Chen Qingyun roughly counted and found that the magic tools he collected this time were not small. More than 4,000 first and second level magic tools were collected, more than 500 third level magic tools, and 16 fourth level magic tools. According to preliminary statistics, more than 500,000 enhancement points were collected. After collecting the items in this refining hall, everyone was still a little reluctant. At this time, Mu Daoren suggested, "Everyone, let's collect the subsequent resources and items first, and then divide them into smaller items after collecting and counting the number. What do you think?" "Yes, yes." As soon as Mu Daoren finished speaking, Wuhuzi nodded repeatedly and was the first to agree. "Fellow Taoist Chen, you are using so many puppets to help collect treasures. How can we compare with you? This is not right. It is really not right. Don't blame Wu for speaking bluntly. It makes you uncomfortable. You should give everyone more soup." Li, Mubing and Wanjiantu both glanced at Chen Qingyun with a little resentment in their eyes. They thought that everyone got what they needed and collecting treasures was a good start. Everyone was happy and boosted morale. What they didn't expect was that Chen Qingyun didn't play by the rules. He used puppets as assistants and collected about 50% of the magic tools. The harvest of this person was equal to the sum of their gains. After receiving the things in his hand, Chen Qingyun would not spit them out. He just smiled faintly. If it weren't for the need to hide his strength, it would be as simple as releasing only 20 Qi refining puppets. Puppets such as Poseidon, Xuanwu, and even Beiling, Moling, etc. must be released together, and at that time, at least 20% more of the profits will be taken. Forget it, forget it. Fellow Taoist Lu has gained a lot this time. You have gained the most, and this is also due to your ability. If Luo can have your means, then my gains will only be more than yours. Ha 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 ha, there is nothing to be jealous of. Luo, Huzi laughed at himself again. As the saying goes, the treasure belongs to the capable. There is nothing to be stingy about this time. Everyone depends on their ability. As for Baoang, the gains are almost the same as Luo Huzi. If everyone knew that Baoang was actually Chen Qingyun himself, and the two of them were of one mind, they would probably sigh a few more times. Chapter 690 Alchemy Hall. In the weapon refining hall, everyone gained something, and they reached a consensus on the next action. In this outer sect area, there is another alchemy hall and spiritual medicine garden that need to be explored, which also contain opportunities. The alchemy hall is okay, and you can also collect medicinal resources at will, which can be quick. But most of the spiritual fruits and medicinal herbs in this spiritual medicine garden need to be picked carefully, and they can't be picked blindly, and they still need to spend some time and effort. Considering this, they are worried that the benefits will be unevenly distributed later, and everyone will have more complaints, so they decided to collect them all first and divide them fairly afterwards. Chen Qingyun did not refute this proposal. The harvest of the magic weapon has already taken a great advantage. It's okay to give in a little bit for other elixirs, spiritual medicines, etc. After all, you won't suffer any loss if you divide them equally. You can divide it into 2 parts. Soon, they came to the alchemy hall. The layout here is similar to that of the weapon refining hall. There are many alchemy rooms on the first floor, and the second floor is where the elixirs are stored. There is no guardian puppet. However, unlike magic tools, elixirs, and spiritual medicines, if they are not properly preserved, they will easily lose their medicinal properties. Now, more than 600 years have passed, and almost all the medicinal materials on the first floor of the alchemy hall have been corrupted. The spiritual medicines that used to be spiritual medicines have now become piles of garbage and are worthless. In some alchemy rooms, there are still some bodies of 5 elements sect monks. After being roasted for a long time at high temperatures, their bodies have become very shriveled, almost like skin and bones. These monks basically maintain a cross-legged posture and die in an instant during the process of alchemy, so that the elixir being refined is still a semi-finished product, and has long turned into a ball of black mud. The medicinal resources that can be collected on this first floor are equivalent to nothing. The only harvest is still mainly storage bags. The items collected in the bags can be subdivided. On the second floor, there are rows of neatly arranged stone cabinets. These stone cabinets are all made of basalt, which is resistant to high temperatures and weathering. Even the color has not changed at all, as if they were brand new. These stone cabinets have compartments carved out, and many bottles and jars are placed inside. Looking around, there are no guardian puppets. The 5 element sect advocates alchemy. The elixirs refined on the first floor can be brought here to exchange for spirit stones or good deeds to earn cultivation resources. Everyone cooperated tacitly and did not fight for them. Instead, they supervised each other and let Li Mubing collect them. When collecting the elixirs in the stone cabinet, Li Mubing opened the bottle stopper to check. Most of the elixirs have been severely weathered and rotten, becoming waste elixirs, which are no different from mud. The sealing of this jade bottle is not long-lasting, and can only last for 100 years at most. Most of the elixirs that can be stored here are best-selling products. They will not be collected for too long and will be consumed regularly. At first, seeing some elixirs turned into black mud and had no value at all, everyone thought it was expected and did not think it was a pity. But as the ground began to be filled with jade bottles and more discarded elixirs, Luohuzi began to sigh first. It was like seeing a box of treasures, and when you opened it with great expectations, you found that the treasure box was filled with stones, broken copper and iron and the like. This is really depressing, and it is no wonder that Luohuzi was upset. When more than 600 jade bottles were collected, only a few of the pills were stored in high-level jade bottles, which were much more sealed, and a small number of pills still retained their medicinal properties. In addition, there were some stone boxes, jade boxes, wooden boxes, etc., and there were quite a few high-level ones. The pills stored in them began to make several people's eyes light up. After the Qi refining pill and Lingzi pill were opened at the beginning, the pills that appeared were also of higher quality. This blind box opening behavior made several people focus their attention. As the 33rd jade box was opened, the foundation building pill was opened inside. Later, in the same area where the jade box was placed, more than 30 foundation building pills were opened, and each one was well preserved. Foundation building pills, there are quite a few, and finally some pills of good value were opened. Luohuzi's depressed mood was relieved. Keep paying attention. When Li Mubing opened some of the higher-grade jade boxes, as soon as they were opened, a strange fragrance of elixir diffused out, accompanied by a faint golden glow. When he saw the well-preserved elixir nourished by spiritual liquid inside, Li Mubing's eyes lit up, and he couldn't help but blurt out in surprise, Ji Jinden. The opening of the Ji Jinden in the jade box immediately attracted everyone's attention. Ji Jinden is a 4th grade top-grade elixir, made from more than 100 kinds of medicinal materials, with complex ingredients. This is the most common auxiliary thing for ancient cultivators to form elixir. At that time, there was no discovery of spiritual things such as wood spirit water and snow spirit fairy dew. Taking Ji Jinden can increase the chance of forming elixir for purple mansion cultivators by 50%. The success rate of 50-50 can be said to be quite good. The few people have rich experience, but it is the first time they have seen the real Ji Jinden, and they can't help but look at it a few more times. Luohuzi was the most vigilant. He was afraid of mistaking the pill, so he picked one up and looked at it from left to right. Finally, he used a ray of golden pill fire to touch the golden pill. After the golden pill fire touched the golden pill, the flame and the pill merged, forming a circle of flame patterns on the surface, which burned slowly for a few times and then merged into the pill. It merged with the pill fire and showed the pill fire patterns. It is indeed a golden pill. Whoa! Huzi looked happy. For resources like elixirs that are eaten, the first thing to worry about is mistaking them for others and tampering with them. Especially for elixirs that have been collected for such a long time, you must make sure they are clear before taking them. After verifying that it is a Jinden, Chen Qingyun has developed a great interest. This is a strategic resource. No matter how powerful a sect is, whether the descendants can continue to prosper and one generation is better than the other, apart from recruiting talents and cultivating excellent immortal seedlings, the most important thing is the rich resource foundation. With the support of precious resources such as foundation building elixirs, purple mansion crystals, and Jinden, it can greatly drive the practice of its own disciples and break through the realm efficiently. After opening the Jinden, everyone was delighted. In the subsequent process of opening the jade box, several Jinden were opened one after another. There are not many elixirs that can be preserved intact, and everyone supervises each other. In this way, it took more than half an hour to collect them uniformly, and finally only more than 30 bottles of elixirs were obtained, mainly 3rd-level elixirs, and a small amount of 4th-level elixirs. The pills were temporarily kept in Li Mubing's hands. Everyone counted the number and made sure they had an idea, then divided them equally. According to the agreement, Yu Ying had performed the black water magic and made merit, so the number she got was equal to that of Chen Qingyun and several other Jinden cultivators, and this needed to be strictly followed. Chapter 691 Spiritual Medicine Garden, Longevity Fruit. As for Song Xin, the distribution of the pills this time was divided according to 30%. For example, if a Jinden cultivator received 10 pills, she could only receive 3. There were 15 Jinden in total, according to the equal benefits among the 6 Jinden cultivators and Yu Ying. Each of them would receive 2 pills, and there would be 1 pill left. After some discussion, Chen Qingyun and the other 7 people each received 2 pills. Song Xin took the initiative to make concessions and only wanted 1 Jinden, not other pills, so he was able to get 1 pill. With this Jinden, Song Xin's trip would undoubtedly be worthwhile. Yu Ying received 2 Jinden, which could be regarded as compensating for the loss of lifespan to a certain extent. She is currently in the late stage of Zaifu. As long as she advances to the peak of Zaifu in the next 20 to 30 years, and then passes the Jinden, her lifespan will increase significantly. After quickly dividing the pills and taking a closer look after returning, everyone continued their journey and headed towards the Spiritual Medicine Garden. The Spiritual Medicine Garden is located on the main spiritual vein of the 5 Elements sect and is built in the eastern area of this spiritual vein. This main spiritual vein has reached the 6th level middle grade and spans most of the 5 Elements island. Many core buildings of the sect have been built on it, such as the main hall of the sect leader, the Sutra Pavilion, etc. And there are also some high-level elders' caves. With the existence of this main spiritual vein, the 5 Elements sect can cultivate up to the 6th level spiritual medicine. However, due to the contamination and erosion of the netherworld energy, This main spiritual vein has long been unable to provide cultivators with spiritual cultivation and has become a filthy spiritual vein. Instead, it has become a treasure land for ghost cultivators, and it is very likely that ghost cultivators in the nascent soul stage have been nurtured and born. Fortunately, as an important place of this sect, the spiritual medicine garden is usually blocked by a forbidden formation to prevent outsiders from entering at will. Therefore, at present, this spiritual medicine garden may not have been covered by the netherworld energy. Time is precious, and everyone moves forward quickly. When they are still a few hundred meters away from the spiritual medicine garden, they are attacked by more than a dozen ghost cultivators. These ghost cultivators were not strong, all in the purple mansion stage, facing Chen Qingyun and others. They were wiped out within 3 rounds. When they arrived at the spiritual medicine garden, a restriction appeared here, which protected the entire spiritual medicine garden and isolated the netherworld aura from the outside world. Feeling that the netherworld aura around them was getting thicker and thicker, they were afraid that giant and stage ghost cultivators would appear at any time. In order to avoid unnecessary crises, everyone did not delay and quickly found the entrance to the spiritual medicine garden. Because there was a restriction blockade, the restriction must be lifted first. Luohuzi looked at it twice and shook his head directly. Luo is short-sighted. I can't see the origin of this restriction. Speaking of this, Luohuzi did not feel embarrassed and looked at Li Mubing with a smile. Fairy Bingling, tell me, according to the information you have, do I need to forcefully break the restriction here, or is it time for fellow Taoist Chen to show his magical powers? You can remind me in advance that if the restriction here is forcibly broken, the netherworld energy will flow into the spiritual medicine garden, which may damage the spiritual medicines. You can't forcefully break the restriction. Li Mubing directly rejected the method of violently dismantling the restriction and revealed the information recorded in the handwritten notes left by Huanzhang Cheng. The grade of this restriction is not high, only the 4th grade. But the effect is very good. Once a cultivator forcibly breaks it, it will trigger the formation set up in the spiritual medicine garden, completely blocking the entire spiritual medicine garden, and it cannot be broken by non-nascent soul cultivators. This formation is controlled by 6 high-level 5-element sect members. As long as 3 of them reach a consensus, they can directly destroy the entire spiritual medicine garden with the formation. At this time, all the spiritual medicines in the garden will be wasted. The reason for setting up such a formation is to resist foreign enemies, so that when the sect is in danger, many spiritual medicines will not fall into the pockets of the enemy and provide resources for the enemy. Because the 5-element sect was destroyed too suddenly, the spiritual medicine garden was still well preserved. Under the maintenance of the spiritual veins, the formation and the band still exist. According to Li Mubing's introduction, if you want to prevent the formation from being triggered, there is only one way to deal with this band. That is to use the 5 elements puppet as a key to open the band. Fortunately, the specific method is recorded in the handwritten notes. Li Mubing told Chen Qingyun about the method. Chen Qingyun listened for a while and found that the principle was very simple, and it was the same as the formation that opened the Tangai Cave Mansion with the Tangsu sword. The difference is that only the 5 elements puppet above the foundation establishment stage is needed here. The 5 elements origin of this level of puppets has the power to open the ban, and often only the core disciples of the 5 elements sect have this level of 5 elements puppet. Chen Qingyun summoned the chain blade puppet, and according to the method Li Mubing said, he separated a strand of the 5 elements origin and touched the restriction. The restriction was sensitive and opened an entrance smoothly. At the entrance of the spiritual medicine garden, a door appeared, which was enough for the cultivators to enter and exit. It really works. This 5 elements puppet is really magical. Luohuzi looked at it in amazement, and his body was very sincere. He couldn't wait to be the first to step into the spiritual medicine garden. Li Mubing and others entered one after another. At a glance, the scene in the spiritual medicine garden was not so lush and green, with spiritual medicines everywhere. Although there was a restriction to protect and isolate the ghost energy of the netherworld, most of these spiritual medicines had withered because they had been untended for a long time, and turned into spiritual energy and became nutrients for the land. Only a very small number of spiritual medicines and individual spiritual trees relied on their own tenacious vitality to preserve them intact, and they were still growing and maintaining vitality. Among them, the spiritual tree has the strongest vitality. It does not need long-term care from the monks. It can grow independently with the help of spiritual energy and continue to take root deeper into the soil. The few people did not act rashly for the time being. After a look, they were attracted by a spiritual tree first. The grade of the spiritual tree reached the 5th grade, middle grade. Looking closely, it has 3 spiritual fruits. From the appearance, it is green and round fruits about the size of a fist. At this moment, even if it is more than 10 meters away, the fragrance from the fruit still hits the nose. This fragrance, a little smell, makes people feel light all over, as if washing away fatigue, as if reborn. Even the pores of the body are stretching, full of vitality. From the color of the 3 fruits, it seems that they are ripe and can be picked. Longevity fruit. There is a longevity fruit in this spiritual medicine garden. Mu Daoran has extraordinary knowledge. He carefully distinguishes the fragrance and recognizes the origin of the spiritual fruit at a glance. It is said that a longevity fruit is worth half a century of life. This is the first time I have seen a genuine longevity fruit in my life. That's right, that's right. The Taoist Mu's eyes lit up before he finished speaking. He couldn't help but take a few steps forward to take a closer look, and his face showed excitement. This is a good thing for prolonging life. Longevity fruit. Yu Ying's eyes were also firmly attracted by the longevity fruit, and her eyes were full of brilliance. She also had a great interest in the longevity fruit, and couldn't help but take a few steps closer to the longevity fruit tree. Chapter 692 Mutual Benefit. Searching for elixirs. This longevity fruit tree is 50 or 60 meters high, with a trunk about the width of 2 people hugging each other. Its branches and leaves are green and lush, full of vitality. The longevity fruits produced on the tree are not conspicuous. Looking around, there are only 3 of them. These 3 fruits can be said to be the essence grown by absorbing the essence of heaven and earth and absorbing all the nutrients of the spiritual tree. A longevity fruit is worth at least 1 million spiritual stones. After taking it, it can increase your lifespan by 30 years, which is half the effect of the longevity fruit. Although 30 years of life is not much, in the eyes of those elderly monks who are about to die and are about to die, this is a priceless treasure, a treasure that everyone would squeeze their heads to snatch. Once a person's lifespan is extended for 30 years, it is equivalent to having 30 years of opportunity to reach a higher realm and further improve his strength and lifespan. Such value cannot be measured in terms of money. Old man Mu, you are quite old. You must be 800 years old. You really need to plan for your future. Glancing at the 3 longevity fruits, and then looking at Taoist Mu's face as if he had seen a peerless beauty, Luohuzi smiled and joked. When they first met at Zhuxiantu Tower, he had long noticed that Mu Taoist was about to die. His energy and blood all over his body were already showing signs of weakness, and his physical condition was reaching his twilight years. In terms of age, according to the lifespan of a golden elixir monk, the maximum lifespan is 800 years. Because of Mu Taoist's practice of wood spirit rejuvenation technique, his lifespan has been increased by more than 90 years, and he can live to be more than 900 years old. Currently, Mu Daoran is 933 years old, and is already an antique-level figure. He really needs to make plans for the continuation of his life. The appearance of this longevity fruit would not make Mu Taoist lose his temper. It would be very rare if he did not immediately pick one and put it in his mouth. This longevity fruit is very important to me. I hope you can part with it so that I can have a chance to get one. When Mu Taoist was about to make a move, he did not rush to pick it up. Instead, he glanced at everyone expectantly and said in a very serious manner, "I, Mu Hongsheng, will definitely remember this kindness in my heart." The longevity fruit is the same as the longevity fruit. The full effect can only be exerted when you take the first pill. After that, take the second or third pill, just to taste it and fill your stomach, but the effect will no longer be exerted. Haha, old man Mew, don't be impatient. Let's search carefully first and count the number of elixirs here. Luo doesn't want to compete with you, an old man, for the longevity fruit. It doesn't matter if I give you one, it's the Qingguang. Luo is determined to get it. I also ask you to let Luo and don't fight for it. Luo, Huzi responded. He seemed to have a simple mind and well-developed limbs, but in fact his mind was particularly careful. Although according to Li Mubing, there are more than a dozen Qingguang lucidum here, enough for everyone to divide. These are only recorded in handwritten notes. It is not known to what year this record dates back. It's hard to determine the true situation now. Those Qingguang lucidum are still preserved here. Even if there is, what if there is only one? It was with this in mind that Luo Huzi once again mentioned his needs and gave in to Mu Taoist first, and then Mu Taoist would make concessions for him, which would be mutually beneficial. The people present were all human beings. How could they not think of Luo Huzi's thoughts, and none of them said anything. After Luo Huzi said this, he no longer paid attention to Mu Taoist. He couldn't bear it anymore and looked for traces of Qingguang among the few surviving elixirs around him. If you look closely, it's really a pity. Many of the elixirs that were originally everywhere have long since died and rotted, and have been integrated into the soil. These elixirs are particularly harsh on the growing environment, and most require careful care and cleaning of the surrounding environment. For example, some elixirs require 6th level spiritual veins to warm and nourish them, and even a little less spiritual energy will not suffice. Some are water-based, and fire-based spiritual objects are not allowed to appear within a radius of 100 meters, otherwise, attribute conflicts will occur and growth will be affected. Some of them also need to be regularly watered with water-walking exercises to eliminate pests and carefully cultivated. Regarding these care tasks, each one must be done with meticulous attention to detail. It cannot be done without a spirit planter or an alchemist. It requires a certain knowledge of medicinal herbs. Although Luo Huzi was born as a casual cultivator, he had limited resources for cultivating immortals in the past 200 years and was only exposed to the art of formations. But after reaching the golden elixir stage, I started to come into contact with spiritual plants, alchemy, weapon refining and talisman making in many aspects, and I knew more or less about these fields. While exploring the elixirs around him, Luo Huzi could identify some of them and couldn't help but feel emotional. It's a pity that there are so many poisonous sunflowers. Although this poisonous sunflower grass looks pitted, extremely ugly, and contains poison, if it is used properly and mixed with 4th level earth vein glazed liquid, it can be a treasure for refining high-level beast spirit elixirs. Seeing more than 100 withered and rotten poisonous sunflowers, Luo Beard showed a look of pain. If we can harvest the finished product from live animals, we will have the opportunity to cultivate high-level goblin rats in the future and advance the goblin rats to the 3rd level. The main material of the 5th level beast spirit elixir in the world of immortality is the poisonous sunflower grass, which can assist the 2nd level and 3rd level spiritual beasts to improve to a greater level. In addition, after looking closely at some broken and rotten herbs, everyone also discovered the 3 flame flowers. The flowers of this plant resemble flames and are composed of red, yellow, and orange colors. They are a necessary material for refining high-level fire attribute elixirs. More than 603 flame flowers withered along with their roots and stems. Only the land where they grew still retained a little spiritual grass energy, emitting a little fire spiritual power, dyeing the land light red, which was clearly different from other places. It was this unique smell, soil color, and the fact that there were no water-attributed plants growing within 300 meters around that allowed everyone to identify the 3 flame flowers. Seeing so many spiritual medicines turned into dust, Li Mubin felt very sorry and began to briefly describe the situation of this spiritual medicine garden. Everyone listened carefully and learned from the handwritten notes that the spiritual medicine garden had a total of more than 600 spiritual medicines planted because of its huge area. In order to take good care of it, this spiritual medicine garden was divided into 22 areas, and each group of 1 to 2 people took care of one area. As a 2nd level alchemist, Heng Zhengcheng understood the way of spiritual plants and was responsible for the task of taking care of spiritual medicines in an area. Among the spiritual medicines to be taken care of here was the Qingguang lucidum. As for what spiritual medicines are in the other 21 areas, Heng Zhengcheng doesn't know much and didn't record it. The notes written by this person only record what he sees and hears in daily life, and the information is limited. For the other 21 medicinal fields, Li Mubing and his companions can only explore the situation here to see what they can harvest. Chapter 693 The Abnormality of the Eight Wastelands. The Mysterious Black Wood. This Sha Uiyuan fruit tree is a new discovery. The elixirs that everyone can identify for the time being are poisonous sunflower grass and 3 flame flowers. In addition, many elixirs are of ancient origin and leave no obvious traces, making them difficult to identify. Several people jointly explored the surrounding area and soon came to the elixir area that Heng Zhengcheng was responsible for taking care of. They found traces of Qingguang, a total of 16 plants. It really is Qingguang. Luo found it. After seeing these Ganoderma lucidum, the excitement and joy on Luohuzi's face was undisguised. This trip was worth it. Qingguang belongs to the earth and grows underground for a long time. The growth environment requires only a 4th level spiritual vein and does not require care. As long as there are no living beings poaching the surrounding elixirs, taking away vitality, or being affected by disasters from heaven and earth, it can gradually mature within 300 years. Any mature Ganoderma lucidum will grow a branch that breaks through the ground, and then blooms into a 7-color lotus-like flower. This peanut has 7 petals and emits a rainbow-like glow, hence the name Qingguang. In this medicine field, there are a total of 16 Ganoderma lucidum plants sprouting from the ground and blooming with 7-color flowers, not including those that are not mature underground. Except for Qingguang, there are very few other elixirs left in this medicinal field, and only 2 demon refining grasses have reached maturity. This demon refining grass has reached the 4th level of mid-grade. If taken directly, it can replenish the monk's original power and participate in elixir refining. As promised, Li Mubing first asked Luohuzi to select the best quality and oldest Ganoderma lucidum for picking. After Luohuzi finished picking happily, he began to pick the elixir and dig out other Qingguang lucidum. While Li Mubing was collecting the elixirs, Chen Qingyun was also paying attention to the surrounding environment and looking at the elixirs. When passing by an area of withered elixirs, I just glanced at it lightly and didn't take a closer look. But at this time, Chen Qingyun only felt that the 5 elements golden pill in Baoang's body was moving, emitting bursts of blazing energy, as if being attracted by something. Well, what's going on? This sudden change caused Chen Qingyun to quickly calm down and take a closer look in secret. This is the first time I have seen such a reaction in Baoang's body, which seems to indicate that there is something nearby that caused Baoang to undergo this change. This is the elixir garden, and there is no puppet guardian. After excluding the elixir, what else can there be? Based on the local conditions, thinking that this is the 5 elements sect and Baoang is the incarnation of the 5 elements, Chen Qingyun guessed that such a reaction must be related to some kind of cultivated elixir. After quietly exploring the surroundings, Chen Qingyun soon found out that it came from an inconspicuous dead tree. This dead tree was about 1 meter away from me, half buried in the ground. The exposed part was dark brown. There were no moss or plants growing on the surface, but it had rough, undulating, irregular bark textures. At first glance, people would just think that this is an ordinary piece of wood, the kind that no one would care about even if it was placed on the ground. Even when I'm bored, I'll kick in a few kicks. But when Baoang came into contact with this piece of black wood, the 5 elements golden elixir in his body reacted again, and the burning sensation became stronger, which proved that this thing was absolutely extraordinary. If Chen Qingyun touches it himself, there will be no reaction, which shows that there is some connection with the external incarnation of the 5 elements. What is it that can make Baoang react? The first time he saw this kind of wood, Chen Qingyun didn't recognize it for a while, He just thought it was very strange. Could this be a spiritual tree that can enhance the clone? Now is not the time to think too much. Let's put it away first and talk about it later. Chen Qingyun was not polite and asked Baoang to take action. He dug out the black wood and put it into the storage bag on his waist. This scene happened to be seen by Luo Huzi, who was looking around. I dare to ask fellow Taoist Lu, what is this rotten wood? Luo Huzi secretly inquired about Baoang through sound transmission. Baoang was being paid attention to by Luo Huzi. Chen Qingyun had no expression on his face. Using Baoang as his perspective, he looked in the direction of Luo Huzi and saw that there was also a piece of black wood under the opponent's feet. Compared with the one I just harvested, this one is much smaller, only about 3 or 4 feet in length and as thick as an arm. This Luo Huzi didn't take it away, but he still asked like this. It seemed that he was also confused about the origin of this black wood. If I hadn't seen that I was collecting it, I would have simply skipped it and ignored it. As he was thinking secretly in his heart, Chen Qingyun asked Baoang to respond via voice transmission. I just have a hobby of collecting all kinds of wood, fellow Taoist Luo, too? This question made Luo Huzi look stunned for a moment. Then I saw him make a move and directly put the black wood under his feet into the storage bag. I don't know if he realized that it was a treasure, so he took it away first. At the same time, after accepting the black wood, he did not forget to send a message to reply. Ha ha ha. It seems that Lu Deu and Mr. Luo are from the same path. Please communicate more and learn from each other if you have the opportunity in the future. Seeing him being taken away by Luo Huzi, Chen Qingyun's face remained expressionless. Baoang turned his head and ignored it, but he couldn't help muttering in his heart. It's so slippery. Chen Qingyun paid close attention in the elixir garden and found that there were only 2 roots of this black tree, less than 100 meters apart. I tried to find the 3rd root, but I found no sign at all, not even a piece of black wood the size of a branch. The action of Baoang and Luo Huzi collecting the black wood was immediately noticed by Li Mubing. However, she had long noticed the many elixirs on the ground, including these 2 black trees, and did not notice anything special about them. Even the handwritten notes left by Nahang Zhengcheng did not record the origin of this black wood. Seeing Baoang and Luo Huzi collect it, she chose to turn a blind eye, not really thinking about what kind of treasure it would be. She guessed that Luo Huzi, like Lu Yuan, just liked to collect more. After all, when they first stepped into the 5 Elements Island, the 2 of them began to collect resources on the ground that she was not interested in. She paid close attention to Luo Huzi and the 2 of them, and found that after collecting the black wood, they were still collecting some withered elixirs on the ground. Looking at it this way, it feels like picking up rotten vegetable leaves at the vegetable market. The main thing is a fly leg and meat. Seeing this, she stopped paying attention. What did she find? Will she know the origin of Kuroki? Chen Qingyun had noticed Li Mubing's gaze a long time ago, and simply asked Baoang to play the role of a scavenger, picking up some ineffective elixirs on the ground to confuse the audience. It wasn't until I found that Li Mubing didn't pay attention anymore that I secretly breathed a sigh of relief. Chapter 694 Ling Citron Fruit. What is the origin of this Lu Yuan? He looks like a taciturn person. He didn't say a few words along the way, like a mute. How can he be so cunning? Sure enough, none of these people are easy to deal with. Luo Huzi thought that his act of picking up dead branches and rotten leaves was already unusual enough, and he didn't care about his image. The purpose was to cover up his previous act of putting away the black wood. Unexpectedly, this Lu Yuan did the same thing, and he immediately understood that the other party's idea was the same as his, and they were all trying to hide it. The 2 saw through each other but didn't say anything. After a while, they stopped moving and returned to Li Mubing's side, waiting for Li Mubing to pick those spiritual medicines. There are not many spiritual medicines available for picking around, only a dozen kinds. When they went deep into the spiritual medicine garden, they found a very special spiritual tree. The spiritual tree is not big, about 10 meters high, and the leaves are purple-red, which is more conspicuous here. On the tree, a few purple fruits can be vaguely seen. Unlike the longevity fruit, those purple fruits have no fragrance. The fruit looks like a walnut. The leaves are purple and the fruit is covered with a stone-like shell. This is the Lincitron fruit tree. Mu Dao Ren knows a lot of pharmacological knowledge. After the longevity fruit, he was the first to recognize the origin of this spiritual fruit and couldn't help but exclaimed, "Good, good, we have picked up a treasure again." The fact that Mu Dao Ren said 3 good words in a row and showed such an action is enough to show how extraordinary this Lincitron tree is. Hearing the word Lincitron fruit tree, Chen Qingyun's expression moved, his eyes fixed on the spiritual tree in front of him, and relevant information emerged in his mind. Lincitron fruit tree, this is a 4th-level spiritual wood, which lives on the extraction of water and wood spiritual energy. It is not good to lack any of them, and it is particularly demanding on the growth environment. Generally speaking, a mature Lincitron fruit tree will grow to a height of about 10 meters. Judging from the growth of this tree, it is obvious that there is a dual spiritual vein of water and wood here. When the spiritual citron fruit tree matures, it will condense and grow in essence, spiritual citron fruit. Chen Qingyun's eyes flickered, and he could clearly see that purple fruits had grown between the branches and leaves. It's a spiritual citron fruit. The spiritual citron fruit, also known as the golden elixir creation fruit, is one of the 4th-level top-grade spiritual fruits. The fruit inside is liquid, containing extremely pure spiritual power of heaven and earth comparable to the golden elixir liquid. It should be noted that this fruit can only work on golden elixir cultivators. As long as one is taken, there is an 80% to 90% chance of assisting in breaking through the bottleneck and improving a small realm. This spiritual citron fruit tree has long been extinct in the Star Sea. It is said that there are only some traces in the Sea of 10,000 Monsters and the Sea of Mermaids. In the exploration of the last area of the spiritual medicine garden, the spiritual citron fruit tree was discovered, which made everyone excited again. There are 6 spiritual citron fruits. There are 6 giant cultivators among us, just 1 for each of us. Mu Dao Ren said excitedly, "This is both a longevity fruit and a spiritual citron fruit, although there are not many finished spiritual medicines that can be picked in this medicine garden. But these 2 gains are enough to make this trip worthwhile." "Old man Mu Luo has heard your calculations. This spiritual citron fruit also belongs to Yuyitu. As elders, we should not compete with her for it." Luo Huzi glanced at Mu Dao Ren and took the initiative to maintain fairness in the team. Oh, yes. What Luo Dao reminded me is that I am old, and my memory is getting worse and worse. Mu Dao Ren was retorted by Luo Huzi again. He laughed twice and did not speak, urging Li Mubing to pick the spiritual citron fruit. Li Mubing did not delay for long. Following the instructions of Mu Dao Ren, he carefully picked 6 spiritual citron fruits, and then worked together to count the number of spiritual medicines harvested, a total of 56 plants. Everyone began to divide the fruits on the spot again to avoid any accidents. If these treasures were taken away at once, it would be a loss. Zhu Ying had the priority to choose, and finally used it at this time, indicating that he wanted a longevity fruit. This time, he used the black water magic once, which consumed 100 years of life. For Ying, the price was too high. Although a longevity fruit can only increase life by 30 years, and taking the second one has no effect, Yu Ying still decided to get a longevity fruit first. Li Mubing had the idea of fighting for a longevity fruit for Yu Ying, so he naturally agreed happily, and Luo Huzi and others had no objection to this. There were still 2 longevity fruits left. Chen Qingyun had the right to choose only after Yu Ying, and directly chose a longevity fruit. The last longevity fruit was finally won by Mu Dao Ren, at the cost of not having the Lingliu fruit and the Qixia Lingzi. What Mu Dao Ren lacks most at the moment is longevity, and other spiritual medicines and treasures are all external things to him, not as practical as increasing longevity. There were a total of 6 Lingliu fruits, which were originally divided among the 6 giant cultivators and Yu Ying, so there was always one person who couldn't get one. Since Mu Dao Ren chose the longevity fruit, it was just right, and Chen Qingyun got 2. After dividing the spiritual medicines, everyone did not forget to continue to check the spiritual medicine garden to prevent any omissions. especially the two spiritual trees that they wanted to take away. Among the few people, Mu Dao Ren was proficient in the art of alchemy and understood a lot of spiritual plant theories. After groping for a while, he said that with the current spiritual plant attainments, it was not possible to transplant these two spiritual trees. The Sha Uiyuan fruit tree and the Lingliu fruit tree have been rooted here for a long time, at least 1,000 years old, and have long been deeply rooted, with roots and stems deeply spread underground. Once forcibly dug, it will definitely damage the roots of the spiritual tree and hurt its vitality. In addition, such spiritual objects of heaven and earth need spiritual veins of the 4th level or above to nourish. Even after being pulled out, they need to be transplanted as soon as possible within a month, otherwise they will lose their spirituality. It can be said that the conditions for transplantation are extremely picky. Mu Dao Ren directly rejected the idea of transplantation. It is better to leave them here and let them continue to grow. In this way, whether they come to pick spiritual fruits in the future or transplant them when they have the ability, it is worse than transplanting them at will and destroying them. Chen Qingyun and others realized that transplantation is not easy, so they naturally don't want to waste natural resources, and they are willing to keep a hand for themselves. It is still a question whether this 5-element sect ruins can be explored to the end at once. There is no need to show off at this time and bear the risk of destroying the spiritual tree. Several people reached an agreement and finally decided to join forces to walk out of the spiritual medicine garden and continue to move towards the depths of the 5 elements sect. The restrictions of the spiritual medicine garden would not hinder people from leaving. When everyone left the spiritual medicine garden smoothly, they found that the atmosphere around them had become extremely strange. Before they could investigate carefully, there was a sudden gust of cold wind around them, and 3 black figures rushed straight over. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelist. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 695 Ambush, Inner Formation. When Xiumen sensed it and released his Silver Thunder Talisman in advance. The power in the talisman was unlocked, and a Silver Divine Thunder was instantly released, hitting one of the strongest black shadows with a bang. This black shadow was unable to dodge, and was hit hard by the Silver Divine Thunder. Most of its body was annihilated, and it was so frightened that it quickly ran away. With quick eyesight and quick hands, Wen Xiumen used the Golden Thunder God's thread net to capture the opponent. Immediately afterwards, she continued to release the Divine Thunder and the Thunder Talisman, killing the Peak Golden Elixir Ghost Cultivator with one blast. At the same time, the other 2 Ghost Cultivators were confronted by Chen Qingyun, Bang, and Luo Huzi, and were at a disadvantage. Chen Qingyun used the Star Ring to protect his body, resisting the attack of the Ghost Cultivator, and used his Moon Blade to cut the Ghost Cultivator in half. The extreme sharpness exerted by the Moon Blade can kill even Ghost Cultivators' magic bodies, and can be easily cut open. These 2 Ghost Cultivators, who were also late-stage giant and warriors, sensed it the moment Chen Qingyun and others arrived at the Elixir Garden's ban. They gathered around them early and waited outside the Elixir Garden. At this time, I launched an encirclement and suppression campaign. I thought I could possess 1 or 2 of them, but I was quickly suppressed and unable to escape. The Ghost Cultivator who fought with Chen Qingyun was a man in gray robes. After realizing that he was no match, he tried to escape, but was intercepted by Baoang with his hanging spirit-cutting sword. Just as he was about to change his strategy and pounce on Yu Ying beside him, 3 soul-destroying swords suddenly struck him. Baoang unleashed his peak strength and used the soul-destroying sword. 3 swords came out at the same time. The Ghost Cultivator dodged one of the swords, but the other 2 swords hit his body. A miserable wailing sound sounded, which only made people's hearts tremble. This gray-robed Ghost Cultivator was no match. His body was chopped into pieces by the soul-destroying sword and disappeared into thin air. The Ghost Cultivator who fought with Luo Huzi in the end saw his companions being killed quickly. With some wisdom, his body turned into 3 figures and escaped separately. This move made Luo Huzi move, and for a moment he didn't know which figure to pursue. Left. When Xiumen's voice sounded, Luohuzi understood and took out a seal magic weapon in his hand, hitting the fleeing figure on the far left. In front of Lei Shanian, the ghost cultivator was firmly locked. His escaping figure slowed down a lot, and he was hit solidly with a bang. With a rumble, the whole earth sank and trembled. Along with the thunder, when the Thunder Mountain seal reappeared, only a few wisps of black smoke dissipated, and the ghost cultivator was killed with one blow. The battle lasted less than 10 rounds, and the 3 golden elixir stage ghost cultivators were quickly killed. Chen Qingyun and others released their spiritual consciousness one after another, paying attention to whether there were any ghost cultivators hiding around them, and they were extremely vigilant. This investigation really made a discovery. It was detected that there were at least 10 or more ghost cultivators lurking in the surroundings, mainly in the Xifu stage, with 2 middle stage giant stages mixed in. These ghost cultivators originally wanted to take a share of the pie and started hunting. Seeing the 3 golden elixir ghost cultivators being quickly eliminated, each of them suddenly developed an escape instinct and did not dare to stay in the area. They turned into frightened birds and fled in all directions. Seeing that the number of ghost cultivators around him increased, and the golden elixir stage ghost cultivators appeared frequently, Taoist Mu had the idea of taking it as soon as he could, and spoke. Everyone, we have completed exploring the 3 areas of the outer sect, the weapon refining hall, the alchemy hall and the spiritual medicine garden, and have gained a lot. In my opinion, it's better to just accept it. We might as well make preparations to explore the subsequent inner sect area in the future. When Xiumen counted the ghost cultivators she met along the way, nodded slowly and said, "The netherworld aura in the outer sect area is actually not too strong. I observed along the way and found that no less than 10 giant and stage ghosts have appeared. Build. As for the inner sect area, it is a place where the energy of the netherworld gathers. It is estimated that several nascent soul stage ghost cultivators have been born. You can think clearly whether you want to continue moving forward in the future." She did not explicitly say that she wanted to retreat, but was warning everyone that the danger level in the inner sect area was not as easy to deal with as it is now. If you really encounter a ghost cultivator in the nascent soul stage, such ghost cultivator will be very intelligent, have awakened the memory of the past life, can use some magical powers, and even use strategies. Ghost cultivators of this level are not easy for golden core stage cultivators like them to fight against. Without sufficient support from thunder and fire means and a tacit understanding of cooperation between teammates, blindly entering the inner sect is asking for death. We've all come here. If you want to try it out again, Luo is willing to accompany you. You can discuss it yourself. Although Luohuzi obtained Kixia Ganoderma and was eager to go back to save his wife, he was not a person who was greedy for life and feared death. He wanted to explore the follow-up journey. After all, there are not many opportunities for such cooperation. If you seize the opportunity, you will have a chance to skyrocket. Li Mubing listened to these thoughts and looked at Chen Qingyun and Bang. "Fellow Taoist Chen, Senior Lu, what do you two think?" Chen Qingyun didn't think too much. He came here this time just for the 5 elements sex skills and responded directly. "Wealth can be found in danger. Now that we have come this far, we might as well explore again." Bang answered calmly, "How strong is the inner formation? Let's find out first this time so that we can have a good idea. Next time we come back, we can prepare a way to break it." "What fellow Taoist Lu said is true. You won't be fat if you eat this. This inner formation is not easy to break. We might as well go and feel it out first. This will also make it easier to collect the treasures here in batches in the future." Luohuzi said that considering the limited strength of the team, it is recommended to explore in different areas to collect treasures. As it is related to the joint exploration in the future, everyone discussed for a few words, and finally Mu Dao Ren nodded and was willing to follow and continue to move forward. Several people recovered their magic power on the spot, and continued to move forward after a while. Along the way, they noticed that the surrounding netherworld aura became more and more dense, and there were signs that it had condensed into substance and could be seen with the naked eye. Such an environment is more suitable for ghost cultivators to practice and survive. There are more and more ghost cultivators within a radius of 1 kilometer, which makes everyone dare not take it lightly. Passing through a series of green jade pavilions, mountains and rocks, everyone soon arrived at the area where the inner array was located. There is also a huge array barrier blocking the way ahead, in an inverted semicircular state, covering the core area of the entire 5-element sect. Due to the existence of this inner array, many powerful ghost cultivators, and even the netherworld eye, were blocked in it, forming a world of their own, isolated from the outside world. Under the powerful aura that everyone deliberately displayed, the surrounding ghost cultivators did not rush forward, but hid in the distance, watching like wolves and tigers, looking for any opportunity to take advantage of. While paying attention to the movements of the surrounding ghost cultivators, Wanjiantu continued to use the Thunder Talisman as a deterrent, while everyone explored the situation of this inner formation. Chapter 696 Black Fog Strikes, Nascent Soul Ghost Cultivator. As a master of formations, Luohuzi took the lead and carefully explored around the formation for a while, and soon frowned. Compared to the outer formation, the grade of this inner formation is already a solid 5th level, and at least the power of the nascent soul stage is required to break it. Luo has carefully paid attention to the formation effect of this inner formation. It is dominated by ice attribute power, not like the outer formation, where the black water magic can open a gap in the formation. Inner and outer double formations, these are 2 types, one ice and one fire. Yu-Itu's black water magic can only restrain fire attribute formations, and it is not effective for this ice attribute inner formation. If you want to break the formation violently, you can invite a fire attribute nascent soul cultivator to take action and restrain this inner formation with the power of raging fire. Luohuzi found out the result and told everyone. Chen Qingyun looked at it for a while, and with the help of his spiritual sense, he not only found that the situation of this inner formation was the same as what Luohuzi said. Moreover, his spiritual sense was isolated by the formation and could not penetrate into it and detect what was in the inner formation. Because this inner array is more powerful, it is not easy to trigger it at will, so as not to push everyone into the fire pit. At present, everyone can only wait and see what happens, and cannot act rashly. Wanjiantu used her spiritual eyes to explore, and seemed to see something tricky, and her face soon showed a solemn look. Everyone, the danger in the inner array is definitely not something we can resist. Retreat. She did not say what she saw. But from her expression, it can be seen that the only thing that can make a giant and late-stage cultivator like her afraid is a ghost cultivator who has surpassed the giant and stage. The peak giant and ghost cultivator is not their opponent here. Noticing the look on Wanjiantu's face, Chen Qingyun frowned, and vaguely realized that there was a great danger here, and couldn't help but think of the 3 Shui family cultivators before. The other party was killed one after another while escaping, so that the posture of falling to the ground was the same. Those who can kill 2 giant and 1 Zaifu in an instant are not necessarily giant and ghost cultivators. They had personally experienced the strength of the giant and stage ghost cultivators they had encountered before. Even if they couldn't beat them, they could still run away. In this case, there was only one result. There must be a ghost cultivator who was beyond the giant and stage nearby. Thinking of this, Chen Qingyun used the chi viewing technique to look into the inner formation, and found that his vision was firmly blocked. He only felt that it was turbid and he couldn't see the scene inside at all. Even the chi viewing technique could be blocked. This result made Chen Qingyun feel a little uneasy. If the situation in the inner formation could not be detected, it meant that there was something unknown inside. According to Wanjiantu, she seemed to have seen some terrible existence, but she didn't say it clearly, perhaps in order to stabilize people's hearts. Luohuzi finally explored the formation and confirmed his guess. Chen Qingyun and others kept an eye on the surroundings and were very alert. They stayed here for about half an incense stick of time. Suddenly, Wanjiantu frowned, noticing that the surrounding netherworld chi was flowing abnormally, and gusts of cold wind emerged in the air. This also made her realize that a great enemy was approaching. She opened her spiritual eyes and quickly scanned the surroundings. At a glance, she saw the mountains in the distance, and a large amount of netherworld chi was gathering around the hall. The tricky thing is coming, retreat quickly. She did not dare to neglect it and immediately reminded everyone. So fast. Luo Huzi was just about to greet everyone to leave, and when he heard Wen Xiumen's reminder, he immediately flew to Wen Xiumen's side. The other Mu Dao Ren, Li Mubing and others were well prepared, and they all took action, paying attention to the surrounding situation while evacuating in the direction of Wen Xiumen. The netherworld chi that suddenly appeared could not be seen by several people. But with the perception of the giant and cultivator, they could vaguely sense that there was danger approaching, which was a warning from heaven. Just as everyone took action together and evacuated quickly, the light around them suddenly became dim. A stream of black fog appeared out of nowhere, and it surged and gathered towards this side with an encircling momentum. It spread to the front in an instant, covering a radius of 100 miles. Faced with this sudden scene, the expressions of several people changed, and they found that their sight was blocked by the black fog, and the visible range was less than 10 meters. Expanding the spiritual sense to explore, the spiritual sense was restricted and greatly weakened, and could only play about 10% of the effect. In the black fog, it was pitch dark, which seemed extremely strange. Under the atmosphere of this ghost cultivation place, this scene made people feel even more creepy. Seeing that the situation was not right, Chen Qingyun immediately sacrificed the star ring and wrapped himself in it. On the other side of Bang, the sky-transforming shield was deployed to further protect Chen Qingyun and himself. Faced with this sudden black fog, it is not clear what kind of danger is hidden in the black fog for the time being, so it is better not to get involved in it. At the same time, Li Mubing used the golden flame lamp, releasing a large flame, and while protecting herself, she pulled Songzhen and Zhu to her front to protect them together. She chose the same approach as Chen Qingyun, and now concentrated her strength on the spot to try out the power of these black mists. Wen Xiumen reacted the fastest. Not only did she cast a phantom light bead that floated around her. She also cast a black bowl-shaped magic weapon, releasing a white light that enveloped her body, reminding everyone, don't enter the black mist easily. Mu Dao Ren used his defensive magic weapon and stood beside Chen Qingyun and Bang, shouting ouch ouch and looking straight at the surrounding black fog. The appearance of these black fogs made several people afraid to stay in them, and they could only temporarily huddle together. Luo Huzi, out of trial, threw a flying sword into the black fog and cut something at once, causing a series of shrill screams. Chen Qingyun used the chi viewing technique again at this time, and when he looked closely, he saw a large number of human figures scurrying in the black fog. Luo Huzi's flying sword cut several human figures. There are ghost cultivators in the nascent soul stage. Wen Xiumen's eyes were filled with golden light, and she locked onto a direction firmly. As soon as the voice fell, the black fog continued to surge, attracting the phantom light beads and the white flame lamp to automatically deploy defenses, burning a large amount of black fog with a hissing sound. The ghost cultivators received the order and gathered around like hungry wolves seeing their prey. The ghost cultivators below the purple mansion stage were firmly blocked by the magic light pearl, and quickly turned into black smoke and dissipated, being instantly wiped out. There were about 20 people at the purple mansion stage and above, who broke through the magic light pearl's obstruction and were burned by the golden flame of the golden flame lamp. It was only at this time that the faces of these ghost cultivators could be seen clearly. Those ghost cultivators looked different, some were female and some were male, with a faint green light in their eyes, which was no different from the appearance of ghosts. Chapter 697, Skyfire Thunder Formation, a do-or-die battle. Against the background of the black mist, these ghost cultivators dance ferociously, just like the ghosts in hell. Most of these are disciples of the Five Elements sect, who turned into ghost cultivators because of their unwillingness. At this time, they were controlled by a ghost cultivator in the nascent soul stage, and they launched crazy attacks one by one. Seeing this scene, Chen Qingyun finally understood what the three Shui family monks died of. It is estimated that he was also faced with such a black mist attack at that time. He knew he was outmatched and chose to escape, but he still died here. Even though the nascent soul ghost cultivators in the black mist are not as powerful as the nascent soul cultivators with physical bodies, they are certainly not that easy to deal with. Chen Qingyun continued to spy with his qi-gazing technique, and he saw a distinctive figure deep in the black mist. It was a long-haired man, wearing a sect costume and robe, different from other ghost cultivators. His whole aura was restrained and he looked ordinary. The more this happens, the more complicated it becomes. Just looking at each other, Chen Qingyun felt his soul tremble, as if he was facing a savage beast. With the nascent soul stage ghost cultivator, we still have to encounter such a difficult opponent, but Luo will not just surrender, and we will have a good fight today. Luo, Huzi waved out 10 formation flags, with streaks of golden light falling in all directions, and arranged them around. Sky Fire, Crazy Thunder Formation, Rise. Following Luo Huzi's scolding, the 10 formation flags were planted firmly on the ground. Using each as a formation node, a set of formations was quickly deployed, covering a 10,000 meter radius. Sky Fire Crazy Thunder Formation. This formation has reached the 5th level of low grade, and contains the power of thunder and fire. It is a formation specially prepared by Luo Beard for this operation, and it is one of the trump cards. Feeling the power of thunder and fire contained in this formation, Mu Taoist looked happy and couldn't help shouting. Fellow Taoist Luo, don't be stingy about any formation methods you have now, use them as soon as possible. Luo Huzi's expression was solemn, and he did not forget to urge Mu Taoist. Old man Mu, you think Luo is a tough guy. Don't be stingy when you cast spells to replenish Luo's mana. Once this thunder and fire formation was activated, it immediately showed its power, condensing the two powers of Sky Fire and Wild Thunder, and launched a desperate counterattack. The hot and bright Sky Fire gathered at the top of the formation, as many as 1,000, falling down like a shower of meteors and fire. Under the control of Luo Huzi, these Sky Fires automatically avoided Chen Qingyun and others, and launched a large-scale carpet bombing against Fan. At the same time, the violent thunder also condensed and formed, turning into silver snakes that exploded in the void, followed by the Sky Fire, and bombarded the ghost cultivators. The fire in the sky is blazing, and the thunder is fierce. These two powers were used on a large scale, immediately burning many ghost cultivators and bombarding them into black smoke. All ghost cultivators below the golden core stage were not spared after being exposed to this power of thunder and fire, and were killed in the blink of an eye. Within a kilometer range around everyone, the Sky Fire and Wild Thunder continued to show their power, wiping out about 90% of the ghost cultivators within this range. The remaining 6 or 7 golden elixir stage ghost cultivators fell through the cracks and were targeted by Chen Qingyun, Li Mubing and others. Chen Qingyun used the Heavenly Thunder Demonic Sword and slashed out 3 swords in succession, killing a late-stage giant and ghost cultivator. Another golden elixir stage ghost cultivator around wanted to kill him and possess Chen Qingyun. Baoang used the soul-destroying sword. With the power of the peak golden elixir stage, he cut the ghost cultivator in half with one sword. Ghost cultivators are all illusory bodies, without entities, and can absorb black mist to heal their bodies. It's a pity that Chen Qingyun and others have known this for a long time, and naturally they will not give the other party any chance to heal themselves. The Heavenly Thunder Demonic Sword continued to show its power, carrying the rolling thunder, and slashed out again, completely killing the ghost cultivator. Looking at Li Mubing and Wen Xiumen, the two of them are doing their best. Li Mubing used the golden flame lantern and released a stream of golden flames to resist the attack of a golden elixir ghost cultivator. Then more golden flames were released, wrapping the ghost cultivator in it, refining it quickly, and killed the enemy in less than 3 breaths. On Wen Xiumen's side, she used the magic light pearl as a defense to form a defensive light curtain to protect everyone. At the same time, she used the golden thunder god's thread net to restrain a golden elixir ghost cultivator, and unleash the power of golden thunder to blast away. killed. In a short period of time, 5 of the 7 golden elixir ghost cultivators who gathered in the black mist were beheaded by everyone. Out of fear, the other 3 temporarily retreated to the side of the nascent soul ghost cultivator, resisting the power of the sky fire and the violent thunder, and seemed to be in a hurry. Mu Taoist is the most diligent at this time, knowing that he cannot hold back at this time, otherwise he will really die here. So he waved the sacred wood staff in his hand and used the wood spirit rejuvenation technique to the maximum extent. At the same time, he supplemented the mana for Chen Qingyun and others, acting as a backup. Song Xin and Yu Ying were not confident enough to deal with the giant and stage ghost cultivators, so they had to temporarily act according to the situation without delaying. The battle had only started for less than 20 breaths, and the atmosphere had already reached a fever pitch, leaving no room for breathing or hesitation. Seeing that many of his subordinates were being crushed and killed, the nascent soul ghost cultivator not only showed no intention of restraining himself, but instead increased his efforts, summoning the ghost cultivators within 100 miles to gather here to exhaust the mana of Chen Qingyun and others. Because this ghost cultivator has been promoted to the nascent soul stage, he has retrieved some memories of his previous life and possesses some wisdom. Therefore, he is different from other ghost cultivators and knows how to deal with Chen Qingyun and others. He was an elder of the 5 Elements sect during his lifetime. After his death, he turned into a ghost cultivator and hid in this outer sect area to practice. More than 100 years ago, he improved his cultivation by absorbing the netherworld chi and recovered to the nascent soul stage, becoming the only nascent soul ghost cultivator in the outer sect area. The 3 Shui family members were unlucky. After entering the outer sect area, they alerted this nascent soul ghost cultivator before they had time to carefully investigate. The result can be imagined. Even if the 3 were well prepared, they would not be confident enough to deal with a strong enemy at the nascent soul level, not to mention that there would be a constant stream of ghost cultivators sweeping over. So they immediately chose to turn around and run. Unfortunately, the 3 people died at the hands of this nascent soul ghost cultivator in the end, and he killed them all at the same time with one blow. At this moment, Chen Qingyun and others did not understand the cause of death of the 3 Shui family members, and realized that if they did not fight with all their strength at this time, their fate would be the same as that of the 3 Shui family members. When Xiumen continued to scan the surroundings with her spiritual eyes, and saw from afar that a large number of ghost cultivators were gathering in the black fog in the distance, and her face suddenly changed. Chen Qingyun also saw this scene through the Qi-Scene technique. At first glance, the number of ghost cultivators gathering was at least 1,000. If they wanted to kill all of these opponents, no one in the team would have much mana left, let alone a nascent soul ghost cultivator who was eyeing them covetously. Due to the obstruction of the black fog, Luohuzi's vision could not be far, but he found another way and sensed the swarm of ghost cultivators with the formation, and he couldn't help but scream. "It's over! Did we poke the ghost cultivator's lair? Why are there so many?" Chapter 698 Six-Winged Miasma B. Devour. Luohuzi's complaint caused Yu Ying and Song Xin's faces to change. Because they knew that their strength was still weak, facing this kind of battle. If they were surrounded by ghost cultivators, the consequences could be imagined. 150 or 60 meters away, a large piece of black fog suddenly surged and swept towards everyone. These black fogs turned into skulls, which were hideous and terrifying. Their power was no less than the attack of the Purple Mansion cultivators, and there were many of them. If they were touched by the flesh and bitten, the giant and cultivators would also have to peel off a layer of skin. Luohuzi offered the fiery sun flag, rolled out a stream of fiery sun fire, and wheezed to ignite all the skulls that surged in, refining them into ashes. However, the black fog seemed to be endless, continuing to gather, brewing a more fierce offensive. Seeing the endless black fog around him, Chen Qingyun raised his eyebrows. It was obviously not a wise move to use magic power to perform moves to fight against it. With a thought, the blessed land bead in the storage ring opened at this moment. A large number of spiritual insects swarmed out of the ring and surrounded Chen Qingyun, forming a red ocean. More than 1,000 six-winged miasma cloud bees received Chen Qingyun's order. As soon as they appeared, They saw the black fog gathering and surging around them, and they showed excitement. Restraining miasma poison and liking to eat miasma poison fog. This is the advantage of the six-winged miasma cloud bees. Especially after obtaining the ancient white stone to improve the bloodline. This innate ability has been further enhanced. Like this black fog composed of netherworld gas and dark ghost gas, it can still be restrained. Seeing the black fog coming again, Chen Qingyun gave an order, and many six-winged miasma cloud bees flapped their wings and flew towards the black fog in unison. After the bee swarm came into contact with the black fog, it was visible to the naked eye that the skulls composed of the black fog were swallowed up rapidly in large numbers. Then, the six-winged miasma bee continued to move forward and began to feast. Just like water coming into contact with flames, the numerous black mists were restrained and could not play a role, and were swallowed by the six-winged miasma bee. This scene attracted the attention of Luohuzi and others, who were surprised at Chen Qingyun's endless methods. In addition to the thunder and fire objects, there are also such spiritual insects that can restrain the black mist. How many methods does this kid from the Chen family have in his hands? How come he has everything like a treasure chest? Due to the urgent situation of the battle, now is not the time to look at it more. Seeing that the black mist was swallowed and restrained by the spirit bee swarm, the leading ghost cultivator and the black mist showed his figure and began to summon more subordinates to participate in the battle. In the originally dark black fog, a large amount of green light began to appear, which were the lights emitted by the eyes of the ghost cultivators. More ghost cultivators appeared, at least as many as 1,500. Chen Qingyun moved his mind and continued to urge the six-winged miasma bee to launch an offensive. It can be sensed that the spirit bees were not afraid of the ghost cultivators, but instead showed a determination to fight to the death. When more than a dozen ghost cultivators pounced, many spirit bees swept up, not only causing the black fog to continue to devour, but also having the same devouring effect after coming into contact with the ghost cultivators' bodies. This made Chen Qingyun feel a little surprised. Ghost cultivators, as soul bodies, should not be poisonous mist. Six-winged miasma bees can actually devour? Is it also due to the gaseous state? Being surrounded and attacked by the six-winged miasma bees, the bodies of several ghost cultivators were bitten and devoured, turning into nothingness and becoming delicacies in the stomachs of the spirit bees. Seeing that the little guys actually had such amazing abilities, Chen Qingyun was secretly delighted. Attacking with the Thunder Demon Sword, he easily killed several ghost cultivators around the bee colony, and began to be more unscrupulous, allowing the spirit bees to pounce on more ghost cultivators and have a good meal. In this way, in just a dozen breaths, more than 20 ghost cultivators perished in the mouths of the spirit bees. A large amount of black fog was also swallowed by the bees. This caused a large blank area within 100 meters around Chen Qingyun, and the black fog and ghost cultivators could not get close. In this way, Li Mubing and others could take a breath and free up some hands and feet. If there were more spirit bees, reaching 1 million, these black fog and ghost cultivators would not be enough to fill the gaps between their teeth. Seeing that Chen Qingyun and others had the power to resist, the ghost cultivators launched a more fierce attack and began to swarm over. After all, 2 fists cannot beat 4 hands, and the six-winged miasma cloud bees soon couldn't resist and couldn't bite. They released a stream of miasma poison, but these miasma poisons can only work on creatures with flesh and blood. So here, they didn't have any effect on these ghost cultivators. Seeing this scene, Chen Qingyun made a prompt decision, summoned the spirit bee swarm back to his side, wrapped himself up, and strengthened a layer of defense. Not only that, considering the content of the agreement, it is necessary to help each other as much as possible. Chen Qingyun did not hesitate to use the fairy palace. In the palm of his hand, the fairy palace appeared, and 8 puppets flew out of the fairy palace, all of which were in the Purple Mansion period, guarding Songzhen and Zhuying. Puppets have no soul, and are not afraid of the possession of ghost cultivators, which can also play a restraining effect. Seeing the 8 puppets standing by their side, each of them is majestic, holding a fairy sword, holding a heavenly knife, or holding a bow and arrow, exuding the aura of the peak of the Purple Mansion. This made Song Zin and Yu Ying both determined. These puppets are like a copper wall and iron wall, becoming their last line of defense. In addition to this line of defense, there are also the phantom light beads, the golden flame lamp, the sky fire and thunder formation, and the protection of Chen Qingyun. Several giant and cultivators. Teamwork is particularly important at this moment. Yu Ying on the left and Song Zin on the right. One is the descendant of the Blackwater lineage, and the other is the Silver Soul body. Both women are Xuanbing Island monks, wearing light blue dresses. Everyone twisted into a rope tacitly. The black fog surged wildly, and the ghost cultivators with bared teeth were hidden in it, flying in groups like flies, looking for any opportunity to take advantage of. However, under the strong defense of everyone, all ghost cultivators would be immediately wiped out as long as they approached 100 meters. Li Mubing, Wen Ziumen, and Luo Huzi all realized that the battle situation was urgent and could not be delayed, and each of them used strange tricks. Chen Qingyun stood in the air, flew in front of everyone, and performed the fire domain meteor. The power of the sun's essence fire in the body condensed outside the body, drawing a huge array fire map. The powerful array fire map reappeared, and it rotated in the air with a click, transmitting a strong flame power. Mu Daoren and others noticed Chen Qingyun's move and saw the fire ray diagram appear again, and immediately thought of Chen Qingyun's previous amazing attack. The same move, but this time it was not the array barrier, but another target. This time it was performed here. It must show a greater power effect. Chen Qingyun said nothing, pinched his hands, urged the fire ray diagram to rotate slowly, and launched an offensive. In an instant, a large amount of flames burst out from the fire ray diagram, turning into hot meteors across the sky, aiming in one direction. Chapter 699, Crazy Move, Indiscriminate Bombing. Under the attack range of such a huge fire meteor, the Yuanying ghost cultivator and a large number of ghost cultivators around him were all covered. When the sun's fire came out, a large area of black fog was reflected in a red-yellow color. The sky and the earth were bright, the temperature rose, and the figures of many ghost cultivators were reflected. Ghost cultivators below the Yuanying stage were simply no match for this fire meteor and were blown apart with a rumble. The broken body was refined by the sun's fire, and it quickly turned into ashes like a piece of cotton being burned. The Yuanying ghost cultivator used the black fog and many ghost cultivator subordinates as a barrier, and resisted in front of him layer by layer. Although this method blocked half of the fire meteors, 3 of them still broke through the defense and hit him firmly. This powerful enemy did not suffer obvious injuries when hit by the fire meteor. Only a burst of black gas rose from the ghost cultivator's body, and he survived safely. In order to deal with the next attack, the opponent also mobilized the surrounding netherworld energy, condensed into a netherworld shield light outside the body, and protected the body. This scene made Chen Qingyun frown. After all, the opponent was in the nascent soul stage, and faced with the attack of the fire domain meteor, he was still able to resist it. A figure stepped into the air and appeared beside Chen Qingyun. Wen Ziumen held a black ruler-shaped magic weapon in his hand, and looked at Chen Qingyun, and the next second he activated the ruler. This thing is called the Four-Spirit Ruler, which is also effective and can accurately strike ghosts and monsters. The Four-Spirit Ruler flashed, and turned into thousands of them, forming a torrent, and with Wen Ziumen's control, it hit the nascent soul ghost cultivator. Each of these 4 spirit rulers carries the supreme power to punish ghosts and monsters. The rumbling torrent rushed forward, destroying a group of ghost cultivators who blocked the way, and swept the nascent soul ghost cultivators into it, covering most of their bodies. The nascent soul ghost cultivator deployed the netherworld shield light, temporarily blocking the attacks of the rulers and temporarily restraining them. Seeing this, Luohuzi said nothing, but he had already reached a tacit understanding with Chen Qingyun and Wen Ziumen. Knowing what to do next, he immediately controlled the sky fire and thunder formation to assist, and a large amount of sky fire and thunder, together with the 4 spirits ruler, Hit the netherworld shield light of the nascent soul ghost cultivator fiercely. Everyone tacitly reached this idea, violently breaking the opponent's defense with magic skills and consuming the opponent's mana. With the assistance of the sky fire and thunder formation, combined with a crazy bombardment of the flame meteor, the intensity of this layer of netherworld shield light began to weaken. With the cooperation of these two attacks, the magic of the ghost cultivator can be restrained, and the effect of fighting across realms can be achieved. This is not over yet. Li Mubing also made a move and took out a black bead. This bead is called the Demon Slaying Bead. It is about the size of an egg, with mysterious and ancient patterns engraved on its surface. After it appeared, it was injected with magic power, revealing a strong and violent power of thunder and fire. The Demon Slaying Bead is one of the means that Li Mubing prepared this time. He went to the Leland Sea to purchase it. The effect of this bead is the same as the Four Spirit Ruler, but its power is even stronger. As she pushed the magic power, the Demon Slaying Bead hit forward. This seems to be just an ancient and plain bead with no power, like a decoration in a woman's home. When it came into contact with this Yuanying ghost cultivator, it exploded with a bang, releasing a terrifying power that was enough to overturn the rivers and seas. Rumble. The huge explosion filled the world, like a blazing little sun exploding, and blew up the opponent's netherworld shield light defense in one fell swoop. Chen Qingyun saw the opportunity and controlled the 8 desolations to attack. Baoang used the peak strength of the Golden Court to strike out 3 soul-destroying swords, and almost at the moment when the netherworld shield light was broken, he suddenly stabbed the Yuanying ghost cultivator. A shrill, piercing scream sounded, making the people present feel pain in their ears and numbness in their scalps. The 3 soul-destroying swords penetrated the body of the Yuanying ghost cultivator, severely injuring him. This attack, injuring the Yuanying opponent in a golden core battle, although it was effective with the advantage of restraint, was enough to make Luohuzi and others look very excited. Knowing that he could not let the opponent have the slightest breathing opportunity, Luohuzi did not hesitate to increase the output of the formation without saying a word. The Sky Fire Wild Thunder formation condensed a large amount of sky fire that broke through the air and fell, and it continued to bombard the Yuanying ghost cultivator as if it was free. Boom. In the formation, those wild thunders also concentrated their strength, condensed a bow of thick thunder, and struck the opponent with a bang. Following the sky fire and thunder, Chen Qingyun, Wen Ziumen, and Li Mubing attacked one after another. The array fire diagram continued to appear, and as it slowly turned, many flaming meteors whistled out, carrying the blazing sun essence fire, and fell on the Yuanying ghost cultivators. The residual power of these many meteor flames, a little spark touched the surrounding ghost cultivators, and immediately ignited them one by one, burning and dying in the air. Li Mubing's moves were no less impressive, and he did not use any ice attribute attacks to conflict with the surrounding fire power. Instead, he continued to choose to control the demon killing beads, communicated with the thunder and fire power inside, and exploded again in front of the Yuanying ghost cultivator. The surging thunder and fire power here swept and impacted, and the residual power further affected the surrounding ghost cultivators. On the other side, Wen Ziumen was like a killing god, controlling the 4 spirit rulers to turn into a silver torrent, and powerfully blew up dozens of ghost cultivators who blocked the road. Then, thousands of 4 spirit rulers rushed in like a waterfall, fiercely hitting the body of the Yuanying ghost cultivator, and emitting a dazzling silver light. Baoang split into 36 soul-destroying sword lights, locked the Yuanying ghost cultivator from all directions, and slashed it fiercely. Sky Fire Thunder, Flame Meteor, Soul-destroying sword, demon-destroying thunder and fire, and ruler torrent. These 5 forces all played a restraining role, and at this moment they madly hit the same enemy, exploding a large sea of fire with thunder running through it. A large number of ghost cultivators around were frightened and scattered in panic by this high-intensity attack. Just the residual power that was spread out made them terrified and dared not get involved at all. The 6-winged miasma cloud bee saw the opportunity and swallowed up the black fog and ghost cultivators around Chen Qingyun. With the help of the Skyfire Thunder Array, the Golden Flame Lamp, etc., It played a very significant auxiliary effect. Song Xin and Yu Ying were already stunned at this moment. It was the first time they saw Chen Qingyun and the other 5 giant cultivators launch such a crazy joint attack, and they used their ultimate moves without any mana. As a result, the figure of the Yuanying ghost cultivator could no longer be seen, and was almost drowned in these attacks. There were faint roars. Among the crowd, Mu Dao Ren was also busy at this moment. He wished he had 3 heads and 6 arms, and displayed his own special skills. Chapter 700, Meritorious Service, Song Xin and number 039:S hidden means. Seeing Chen Qingyun and others using their big moves in succession, they launched an indiscriminate bombardment at the nascent soul ghost cultivator. Without saying a word, Taoist Mu continued to cast spells and use the sacred woodstaff to continuously release power to replenish the magic power of Chen Qingyun and others. His own mana was continuously decreasing at this moment, but this was not the key. As the only wood-attributed monk among the few, Mu Taoist is not good at attacking, and his combat power cannot take advantage of others at the same level. Therefore, he could only use his strengths and avoid weaknesses, shine brightly, and maintain the task of restoring mana for everyone. It can also provide mana assistance to a large extent for several people to perform their ultimate moves. The continuous output of ultimate moves continuously bombarded the body of nascent soul ghost cultivator. In the 29th round, they finally had the upper hand. After the fire territory meteor continued to be used for more than 30 breaths, the nascent soul ghost cultivator was finally consumed by 70 to 80% of his strength. He endured the attacks that were still coming and retreated towards the depths of the black mist. Don't let him get away. Seeing that the other party was about to run away, Wen Xiumen's expression changed and she quickly reminded him. When Chen Qingyun and others heard this, they immediately understood Wen Xiumen's intention. If we don't get rid of this ghost cultivator this time and let the tiger return to the mountain, then next time we come here to explore, the other party will probably come to kill us with a grudge. Since we don't want to raise tigers to cause trouble, we can only eradicate them as early as possible and take advantage of this opportunity. With a few whirring sounds, a dozen silver threads suddenly appeared, almost invisible to the naked eye, catching up with the nascent soul ghost cultivator and wrapping them around him. At the critical moment, Song Xin, who had been waiting for the opportunity, saw the opportunity and used the silver thread to the maximum extent to restrain the nascent soul ghost cultivator in mid-air. Her aid this time, relying on the advantage of the silver soul body, can only restrain the enemy for 3 breaths at most. After all, her strength is still weak. But this time was enough for the few golden core cultivators present to take action. Seeing Song Xin's achievement, Luohuzi looked happy and had no time to praise him. He seized the moment and condensed 3 thunders as thick as his arms, which hit the nascent soul ghost cultivator heavily. At the same time, 2 attacks from the 4 spiritual rulers and the demon-destroying pearl came one after another, hitting the target hard. Baoang condensed a huge soul-destroying sword, held one end of the sword hilt and charged forward, and the sword penetrated the nascent soul ghost cultivator. The nascent soul ghost cultivator was firmly restrained from the beginning and was almost destroyed by everyone's big moves. It was impossible to restore the body with the help of the black mist, and the nascent soul's mana was constantly weakened. At this time, the effect of the soul-destroying giant sword was immediate. With Baoang's fierce attack, the opponent was chopped into several pieces. Even so, this nascent soul ghost cultivator was still not killed. He still had a glimmer of life and wanted to quickly blend into the black mist and escape. Song Xin had already expected that this time she would no longer cast the silver thread, but would cast another natal magic weapon 2 breaths ago. A bell flew out of her mouth, connected to her silver soul body, and flew straight out after appearing in this world. At this moment, it happened to cover the nascent soul ghost cultivator, trapping the other party in it. Relying on the advantage of his innate soul, Song Xin had no power to kill this mutilated nascent soul ghost cultivator, but it would be a piece of cake to trap him. If the other party comes to seize her, she can even cause the other party to suffer backlash. It's a pity that the other party didn't develop to this point, but wanted to escape. The nascent soul ghost cultivator was trapped by the bell, and Baoang mobilized the power within his body to form 12 soul-destroying swords, killing them from all directions. At the same time, Wen Xiumen's 4 spiritual rulers followed closely and became the second attack, encircling them. Luohuzi acted according to the opportunity, threw out 6 formation flags, and set up a blockade formation to blockade the surrounding area within a kilometer, hoping to further catch the turtle and the Jor. Song Xin cooperated and took action. The moment the bell flew up, the soul-destroying sword and the 4 spiritual rulers all hit the nascent soul ghost cultivator. Finally, the final word was given to completely kill this powerful enemy. As soon as the nascent soul ghost Xiu fell, the surrounding black fog receded like a tide, and the world returned to a bright scene. The ghost cultivators hovering around saw their master being destroyed, and each of them showed panic and fear, and turned into birds and beasts and dispersed. This black fog came and retreated just as quickly. Seeing this, Luohuzi knew that the victory was decided, so he decided not to waste any more mana on fighting, so he cancelled the blocking formation. To be on the safe side, only the Heavenly Fire Crazy Thunder formation was left as a defense, and it was temporarily placed around to prevent another nascent soul ghost cultivator from appearing. After resolving the crisis, Mu Taoran sat down on the ground with a puff, and couldn't help complaining. Hey, you guys, you're so happy with your moves, but it's so hard for me, my old bones, that I almost got sucked dry by you. Mu Taoran tried his best to assist in the battle this time, and the mana replenishment never stopped. At the same time, he replenished the mana of the 4 golden elixir monks, which left him with very little mana left. Not even 10%. If he had to perform a dozen more moves, he would have run out of energy and exhausted all his mana first. There, all grasshoppers on the rope, you worked hard this time, old man. Fortunately, we won a big victory. Luo Hubeard breathed a sigh of relief, looked at each other, and signaled everyone to start retreating. If they encounter another nascent soul ghost cultivator, everyone is afraid that they will be wiped out directly, and they will not be able to fight. Everyone took out the pills and swallowed them. After the formation was removed, they immediately flew away from here on the Snow Dragon boat and chose to return along the original route, temporarily stopping the treasure hunt. When they returned to the outer formation area, the formation did not block the cultivators in the formation, and they passed through the formation smoothly. Considering that they had already learned about the situation in the outer sect area. Next time, they didn't need to rely on Yu Ying to take action, so they didn't need to waste her lifespan, and they could just choose to break the formation directly. Luohuzi thought about it and laid a protective formation around the outer formation. Although this protective formation was only of the 4th grade upper grade, because the underground spiritual veins were polluted, it was impossible to arrange a higher grade formation. But at least it could resist most of the giant and stage cultivators, and it could also serve as a warning. In the future, when they come again, if a cultivator touches the formation, they can know it in the first time and take precautions. After the formation was set up, everyone paid attention to the surroundings and found that the ghosts in the ghost fog in the distance did not dare to set foot on the 5 Elements Island, as if they were afraid of something. Luohuzi, Yu Ying, and Song Xin protected the law, and asked Chen Qingyun and others to recover their magic power as soon as possible. After the recovery was completed, they flew away from the 5 Elements Island on the Snow Dragon boat without delay. Crossing the ghost fog again, the process of returning was quite easy. In less than half a day, everyone flew out of the ghost fog area and returned to the vast world. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.